Grant Curtis. What's up, man?
What's going on? How are you?
Not much. How you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Excellent. I appreciate you coming on and being willing to open up and share your story with the creative community. I think it's quite a journey.
Absolutely. I'm
Yeah,
excited.
good deal. Let me give the audience a brief introduction here for you before we jump into the conversation, just so they get an understanding of who you are. You are a veteran creative director and agency founder with nearly 20 years of experience. You're the founder and creative force behind Curtis Creative Agency, where you deliver cutting edge graphic design, brand identity, product development, and custom merchandise that helps startups and big brands stand out with purpose and impact. You're the founder of United Headwear, a premium headwear brand rooted in your own sobriety journey, which is currently going through a rebranding, and we can get into that. Your hard won sobriety milestone. You recently hit year 3 years sober and counting, describing it as the greatest blessing that restored control, clarity, discipline, and the ability to build a life beyond addiction's limitations. You utilize athletics and discipline as recovery fuel. You're a dedicated runner and trainer, and you credit consistent physical training and systems to avoid burnout, and that athlete's mindset for sustaining your sobriety and creativity. And you're an advocate for resilience and community, from getting laid off after 18 years working for a design company to launching your own adventures. You show how sobriety, strong networks, spiritual grounding, and pushing through tough seasons unlock authentic joy, deeper relationships, and unstoppable creative momentum. That's a lot.
That is a lot.
Oh,
Makes you want to reflect on how far I've came for sure.
and that's the thing too. I like to take that responsibility off of the guest by doing the intro for them, so they don't have to try and think about it. And usually, once I finish, they're like, "Oh wow, I don't even remember doing half of those things." But um, your story is definitely one that I want to share because we've had a previous conversation, and I think it's really powerful.
Yeah.
So let's go way back in time and start off with my only scripted question that I always ask at the beginning of each one of these, and that's, where were you born and what was life like as a kid for Grant?
I was born here in Washington State. Uh, one of those guys that didn't move away from his hometown. I'm just south of Seattle in, somewhere the foothills, you can say, small town Sumner. And life as a child was great. I had a great childhood. I grew up playing very competitive soccer. I did a
Okay.
lot of other competitive sports, but that was my main focus. And also did competitive race motocross. That was probably my second love. Um, when I was a kid, actually wanted to quit soccer to race more full time because I enjoyed that more. But that was like later on when I was like entering my teens.
Okay.
And my mom had invested too much money in my soccer program to allow me to do that full time. But
Got you. What age did you start off playing soccer?
I was like 3, 4 years old.
Okay, right on. How was school for you? Were you one of the kids that wanted to sit towards the back and not be noticed, or were you one of the kids that wanted to sit up front and answer all the questions?
A little bit of both. I kind of blended in with like everyone, but I
Okay,
definitely was like I fuel off attention, so I definitely
gotcha.
I can't, but I have kind of a quiet and shy side to myself, especially when I was a little bit younger. Um,
Right.
once I open up and you get to know me, I definitely a lot more center of attention type person, but I tend to analyze the room and pick my time to, I guess, share or be that person.
Okay. That's always a bonus point if you're able to observe before jumping in and uh, answering questions or making statements or anything like that. I think it's a high valued asset that a lot of creators have is that observation
Yeah,
ability.
absolutely.
How about your parents? Did your parents do any kind of creative work for their jobs when you were younger or currently?
My mom's like creative, but they didn't like work in any creative space or anything. My dad did construction. My stepdad that raised me since I was 4 was in HVAC. Um,
Okay.
I mean, my mom worked for Nordstrom, but she was more like on the sales end.
Yeah.
But I get a little bit of the artistic from both my parents. You know, my dad's kind of like can build anything, which I think is a form of, having some art in
Yeah,
your blood, like
for
he's done
sure.
a lot of work on my house. And it's like, if I can envision it and put it together or show him pictures or even just like do something that to show him as in a form of art, he usually has been able to like put it together.
Yeah.
We built an outdoor kitchen that I like drew up, and my dad literally looks like what I envisioned, what I drew up on a piece of paper.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. So you said your stepdad came into your life at 4.
Mhm.
Did I'm assuming that's because your parents got divorced at a certain time when you were young, real little?
Yeah, I was like 4 or 5. My parents got divorced. My dad came in my life, or my stepdad came in my life pretty quickly, and he's still with my mom, and he's been a great father figure in my life. I still have a really good relationship with my biological dad. Um,
Okay.
and so I kind of like, I've always joked I have two dads that are both like handyman,
Yeah.
and like I've had my house over 10 years. So there's a lot of projects that they both helped on. It kind of, the hard part is like, I feel like they would never admit it, but they get a little jealous other. So like I had to
Right.
like, play this middle ground on both ends. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I imagine that is a blessing and potentially somewhat of a curse as well.
It is
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, it definitely has. And I can admit, like, they're both really good, but like my dad, my father, like he is like really good. Like I don't know if he just like he's got like OCD. I don't know. Like he just is a little bit better. I hate to say that. It's like just
Okay.
like it, like on a public podcast, but
Right.
essentially, I think Mike understands that a little bit, and that's another fight part is my stepdad. I never called him dad.
Okay.
I refer to him as dad because like
Hmm.
he was in my life since I was like 4 or 5 years old. So like all
Yeah.
my friends up until still my life now, they know Mike as my dad. So
Yeah.
like, when I call him or like I call for him, I say Mike.
Okay.
If I'm like talking to a friend that knows that's my dad, I say dad. Sometimes
Yeah.
I'll say Mike. But yeah, we tried doing the dad thing. Like I think it was just we tried it too late. I was like probably like it was probably past 10 years old, and it just felt weird. For
Yeah.
now, it's like it's kind of been more of like a joke thing in
Right.
a way. But yeah, I call him Mike, but yeah, he's really been my dad.
Right on. How about grandparents? Are your grandparents still in your life or were they in your life as you were growing up too?
Y- all my grandparents have passed away, which
Okay.
sucked. I have no
Right.
grandparents on both sides of my family, and I was close with all of them. I was very close with my great grandmother. My great grandparents were in my life.
Oh, wow.
My great grandpa died when I was like 12. My great grandma died. I was like just graduating high school or just after high school, if I can remember right.
Okay.
I was really close with them. They watched me a lot when I was younger. And then that was my mom. That's on my mom's side. And then my mom's mom. So my grandma. I was also very close with her. She died in a car accident, like 8 to 10 years ago, and that hit me pretty hard. Uh,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's always hard when you lose someone in your life or they pass away, but like car accident is like nothing. You don't prepare for a death like
Yeah.
that. Um,
Yeah.
that was my mom's mom, and her and my grandpa died from a heart attack years prior, but my grandpa found a piece of land in Eastern Washington. And if you're not familiar, or anyone listening, Eastern Washington's a little more desert land. There's no evergreen trees. And
Okay.
he found a piece of land that was essentially like a peninsula on the Columbia River. And the Columbia River is massive. It's like you take big boats on it. It's a lake essentially,
Yeah.
huge canyon that goes
Oh,
down to the river. And it was called Sunland. And it was like literally switchbacks that went down to this like piece. And there's like other communities like similar. It's probably one of the smallest ones on like that strip of the Columbia River. There's another piece called Crescent Bar, but he was like one of the founders of Sunland, like one of the
okay.
first people to find the land and build a house on it. And when I was young, like very young, to where I can't even put an age on it. When they moved
Okay.
there full time, I'm assuming at that point retired, and they moved to Sunland full time. They originally lived in Wright, which is like 20 minutes from my hometown.
Yeah.
And so the whole family, my mom's whole side of the family, would go over to Sunland. It was like a big thing for like summertime, because Eastern Washington, it's warmer, like desert.
Yeah.
It's just like a great place. So I kind of continued that as I got older and got my license. And I was kind of like the one child that like continued to spend time and go over to Sunland and enjoy it with my friends. I have friends
Right.
with boats that bring their boats over. Another nice part is it's really close to the gorge, which
Oh,
have you heard of the
in front of the course. Yeah.
Gorge Amphitheater? Has big concerts.
Yeah.
Sunland is probably the closest large community driving distance to it. You literally go up
Okay.
tracks. It's like a couple miles down the road. You hang a left, and you're like right there at the gorge. There's
Yeah.
houses close by, but there's no community to where, like, if you go to a concert at the gorge, you're camping, or
Yeah.
someone in Sunland, or people in Crescent Bar. Crescent Bar is like 35 minutes
Okay.
from, but it's not as close as Sunland. I was very fortunate to meet someone in my first career, which I'm sure we'll get to, the brand I worked for, that worked for the production company at the Gorge.
Cool.
So, like, right out of high school, I got that job, and his name was Mike Stepper. He worked for the main production company, Flame Productions, and he ran all the productions for every concert at the Gorge. And
Okay.
not only did I have a house, I had a really badass grandma that was just a lot of fun, and was this 70-year-old lady that acted like she was 23. And both my
Nice.
friends loved her. And the house that they built in Sunland was a dome house. So it was a very
Oh, cool.
unique structure with spiral
Yeah.
staircase. And I was going over there all the time, like weekend, like at least once a month. And I had a good friend that worked for the production company. So literally every concert I've been to at the Gorge, I got for free.
Nice.
Most of the time I was backstage. Like, I was very spoiled, and I was like, had a house, like
Yeah.
there is now, like, it's called like Cave B. They
Okay.
built kind of condo like places that are like right walking distance from the gorge, but they're very expensive to rent. So you either
Yeah.
camp, you have money to spend to pay for a place at KB, which there's only a select few. I think it's grown since the last time I've been. Or you had a place in Sunland. And I had a cool, amazing grandma that had welcome arms. I'd go over there all the time. So yeah, when she passed away, it was tough. And it was, like I said, it was a car accident, which is like the worst thing, It's
Yeah, for sure.
family, my mom's family kind of like broke up a lot of them after. She was kind of the glue of the family.
Oh, wow.
One of my uncles kept the house around, and for a few years after that, I was like the only one using. And unfortunately, he got rid of it, and like I have no ties to Sunland anymore. And my grandparents have a monument at the park that says like founder of Sunland Estate.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's kind of sad, and like I kind of manifest, so hopefully someday like I have money to buy a place because places are very expensive there.
For sure.
I would love to be able to purchase that dome house at some point because like anyone that's been to Sunland at least once and if they and have driven to the corner
Yeah.
where the dome house was, if you say dome house, they're like, oh, I know what that is.
Yeah.
Like it's a unique structure for sure.
Nice. Yeah, I get it. All my family's from East Tennessee, both sides of the
Okay.
family. And so I spent quite a few summers and holidays down there. And when my grandparents passed away, the property that they have went to a neighbor that purchased it. And I was like, oh man, it, now it's gone. It's not in the family anymore. So I totally get that concept of wanting to still go to that same place you did as a kid. Totally get it. Did
Absolutely.
um did any of your grandparents have that creative streak in them at all? Or are you kind of the the singular entity in the family that's the creative?
Kind of the singular. I mean, my mom definitely has a creative side, and my older brother,
Okay.
we have different fathers, but I would say it's like my mom's side has like a creative side to him, but no one's really like worked in the creative space.
Gotcha.
And I,
Okay.
yeah,
When you started playing soccer, was that something that your parents were like, okay, he's a little bit wild. We need to get him into something to burn some of this energy off? Or was it a scenario of we think you might be good at this because you're fast or you could run pretty good? Was that part of the thought process, or was it just let's try him out, see what he might like?
I think soccer was just like kind of the first sport that my mom got me into. My mom was actually my assistant coach
Okay. Oh,
for
cool.
that team. And I think I just loved it as a young kid. And then I'd been like any other kid that plays sports, you kind of try everything, but soccer was like, I think the main sport that I just like continued doing. I mean, I played like baseball and basketball. What's funny is the only sport I've never played is football. And my
Okay.
dad played semi pro football.
Oh, nice.
He grew up playing football, so but obviously my parents got divorced, and my mom had me pretty much full time.
Right.
I don't really know. I've never really thought of that, and I think it just progressed. A lot of the kids that I played with on that original just rec team, when you're a
Yeah.
little 4-year-old kid,
Yep.
there was a handful of us that progressed and went, and I don't know, I can't remember like the age that you jump into like a premier league. I want to say it's like around 7, 8 years old. We kind of went and all tried out for the better local team in the area. We
Yeah.
ended up like all making it. And I was with that team for like 6 years.
Okay.
And a big portion of that team played on the national team that I had played on.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Did you play on a travel team? Was that the premier
Yeah, that
team?
was the premier team. And
Okay.
then I we our coach I think had a connection with the national team, and I ended up trying out and making the national team and playing in Europe for 3 weeks. I was there for a month. I played in a tournament in Denmark, and we went to the finals and lost and took second. And
Mm,
played in a tournament in Sweden And I think we were all just burned out, didn't make it into like the first round of the like playoffs or whatever in the
Yeah.
tournament. And then we got to stay in London for a few days, which was really cool. It was probably like the coolest experience to date. And, like,
Yeah.
it was wild. And during that era of my life, it was all soccer. It was like premier practice, national practice. I think I was just getting ready to enter high school. I was a freshman. Was crazy. My high school career in soccer like kind of blew up into injuries due to
Yeah.
due to motocross. And
Okay.
I actually got cut from the first premier team that I was with for like 6 or 7 years because of me racing dirt bikes. Because when you get to that level, like the coach
Yeah.
or trainers don't want you doing any other sports.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I was that kid that was just, I want to race dirt bikes. My stepdad was all about it. We
Yeah.
travel and go race when I wasn't playing soccer. And
Nice.
I was like surprisingly winning a lot of races very early. It was like that, I would say, is a reason why I wanted to quit, because I was very naturally talented.
Okay.
I won my like third race and 80 beginner class and like advanced to junior class like a few months later. And a lot of kids I was racing against were like, "You haven't been doing this since you were 6?" And it's like, no, I'm kind of like an extremist, adrenaline junkie, to where I guess I like to go fast or what. I don't know what it was, but I was like,
Yeah.
but I'm kind of good at this. I mean, I know I'm obviously good at soccer, played on a national team, but
Yeah.
uh, my freshman year, I basically I was on the verge of like making varsity, and it was like the weekend, the like following Monday was when they were like announcing like the roster, like if
Okay.
JV or varsity.
Yeah.
I went and raced that weekend and
Oh.
broke my wrist.
Oh man.
And I came in that Monday, and they're like, what's crazy about high school soccer is you can play with a cast on. Maybe it's different nowadays, but like premier, like select soccer, like,
Yeah.
travel team, like you can't play with the cast on. In high
Right.
school ball, the rules are, yeah, you can, as long as you wrap it with this giant foam pad.
Yeah.
They put me on JV, and they're like, hey, like, we think you're good enough to be on varsity. We're gonna have you do JV. I talked to him, when do you get the cast off? I was like, it was pretty simple breaks. I'll have it off in a month and a half. So I played my freshman year on JV with a cast on, and like I was a striker, and I just like I'm still am that this way. I just operate and work my butt off, and it kind of hurt me in a way. Like the JV coach would like use me against the team. Like, Grant has a cast on. He's beating everyone like in practice
Okay.
on
Gotcha.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
running drills and stuff. He would like use
Yeah.
me as a pawn. I'm like, fuck, dude. Like, I'm just trying. I want to be on varsity. I want to be a freshman on varsity. And like, that
Right.
was kind of my mindset. It's funny. The season, high school ball is like, it's only like a month and a half, couple months. And
Yeah.
I got my cast off, and it was like there was a few games left of the season. And my freshman year, our varsity team was really good, and they made state. They had a good record to go into state. And they pulled me aside. They're like, "You're gonna play your last JV game on Thursday night or whatever night it was, and we want you to come up and be on the roster for state."
Yeah.
Last game in JV, first day I have my cast off, I get like shoulder tackled and go down, and my wrist is like freshly out of a cast, and instead of like putting my hand down naturally, I land on my shoulder and break my collarbone.
Oh God.
And so I have a broken collarbone. And so since they like told me I was going to be on varsity, I got to sit on the bench and was on varsity and watched them lose like second round in state off the bench.
Oh
Broken
man.
collarbone. And then my sophomore year, I shattered my kneecap snowboarding and couldn't play at all.
Oh, geez.
So my first 2 years of high school soccer was just completely blown up. I was supposed to go to Thailand on the national team I was playing with when I
Mm,
my sophomore year. And so I got into like a very depressing state during that
yeah.
time in high school. And I in my area, my middle school doesn't have a high school.
Okay.
So you have a couple options. You can really go to any high school, but you
Yeah.
have two, potentially three options to choose from, depending where you live in the community.
Okay.
And I went to Auburn Riverside, and that's where I missed my 2 years of really playing. And I had friends at Sumner, and I just like wanted a fresh start. I don't know
Yeah.
why. I mean, it seems crazy as like a 15, 16-year-old kid. But I was like, I just want to switch schools. And so I switched to Sumner for my last 2 years of high school, just solely just to like get a clean start at everything. My knee injury was like pretty drastic. It was a compound fracture in Lake
Wow.
Tahoe snowboarding, and I was out for like 6 months. Had to like almost learn how to run again.
Yeah.
But I got to finish my last 2 years of high school soccer varsity at another school, which was rivals to the school I left. So
Yeah.
a big thing, like my junior year in high school, is like, that people kind of hated me for leaving, but
Yeah, for sure. I get it. I get it. I started playing soccer at 13, and I was a keeper the whole career of playing soccer.
Mhm.
Um, went into I s At 13, I started playing because of the school I went to at that age. It was a small private school, so there wasn't really enough high schoolers to play on the varsity team.
Yeah.
So I ended up playing on the varsity team as a junior high kid. But yeah, I played keeper all through high school, some college, and then came back home and played indoor and outdoor up until 2017. Is
Also,
when I stopped playing.
that's
So,
really,
yeah, always
yeah.
a keeper.
I just had, this is kind of like an artist, like creative topic. I was just talking to a friend of mine, and we were talking about just like how I would always like test the limit. I've kind of been my career has been kind of more in the fashion and apparel space, and
Yep.
that's been my thing since I was a little kid. It was always a dream to do what I'm doing for a living.
Yeah.
And I think that's how this topic got brought up. And I was kind of like, I would somewhat push the limit of being an outsider. I think he like made a comment like he dressed a certain way in high school, and it was kind of like fashion. It was very fashion forward to where
Yeah.
it was like kind of more of a thing nowadays.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I was that guy in soccer, like, and then I looked it up, and it's freaking crazy. I bought it was the first Nike Vapor cleats. So
Oh, cool.
Nike still has the Vapor cleat, but
Yeah.
it was the first year they came out with the Vapor cleat. And I don't know how I remember this, but I just took a wild guess and was like, I know it was like before high school when I wanted these. They were bright orange.
Yeah.
But back in the early 2000s, like bright cleats were not a thing yet.
For sure.
That's when Nike was like, they came out with these bright orange cleats, and I was like, I want those. Those are sick.
Yeah,
My
exactly.
mom's like, you've got to be kidding me. And he bought them for me. And I remember I got so much shit for them. So much shit. The coaches were like, what are on your feet? Because most kids had black or white cleats.
Yeah.
And I roll out with these bright, they were all orange. And they were the night, I didn't know this then, but they was the Vapor One. It was the first Nike Vapor. And they became so popular after they launched those that they relaunched them last year, 2 days
Nice.
after my birthday.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, I like had to chat GPT it as we were talking about it. I'm like, this is wild. I'm kind of glad this topic got brought up because I would have never looked into this. And I was actually looking online and looking to buy the cleats to like have them. You can find them on eBay, and because they were the only reason they're like available or people are reselling them is because they were a thing. And I
Yeah.
don't think I would have ever known that or even thought about that. I mean, I remember when I got them, a lot of people
Yeah.
gave me criticism for wearing them on the field. It stuck out like a sore thumb. Like,
Yeah.
who's this kid with these bright orange cleats running on the field? Like,
For
so
sure.
funny.
When you think back to when you first started being creative, whether it was drawing, coloring, whatever, do you remember how old you were at that point in time?
Very young. A wild guess would be like 7 years old.
Okay.
As far back as I can remember, at least from middle school, like sixth grade, I was
Yeah.
dance art drawing classes from
Okay. So your teachers and everything, they recognized that you had that natural talent.
yep. And back then it was all through even high school. Like in my entire school years, it was all just like I was really into just pencil drawing.
Okay.
Just cell phones weren't around then, and magazines were a big thing. And
Yeah.
so I can't really remember what I was drawing prior to motocross guys, but I've at one point when I got a dirt bike, I fell in love with it. And so my thing was I would just like find a picture of like professional motocross, like Ricky Carmichael,
Yeah.
goat of motocross. I'd like pull a picture of him out of a magazine and just like pencil shade draw it. And I was just like really good at it.
Nice.
Obviously, like in art class, they make you do certain, things. I
Yep.
remember like in middle, like seventh grade, um, they would just have you do certain like
Different subjects.
subjects, I guess. Yeah. In art, like I remember one was like we had to draw like a giant card, like playing cards, like a
Okay.
or a queen, and
Yeah.
do your spin on it. I can't remember exactly what I did, but that teacher specifically in my seventh and eighth grade advanced drawing or art class, she ended up holding on to a lot of my pieces.
Oh, nice.
Good. And I like didn't know this, but I had one of my parents' friends that were like I still in my life. They were kind of an aunt and uncle of mine. They watched me since I was a newborn. They had a
Okay.
daughter that was like 6 years younger than me. And the teacher was showing my art still like 6, 7, 8 years later.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
He only knew it because the teacher clearly said my name. And
Yeah.
her name's Zoe. She was kind of like a younger sister to me. She like told me like so and so said was showing your art in class. I'm like, that's crazy. Like I never really thought I was like that good. I don't know. I more enjoyed it than anything.
No, for sure. For sure. As you're getting to the end of high school and you're playing soccer, you're on these travel teams and you're going to other countries and stuff, are you thinking at that point you potentially want to try and go pro? Or are you thinking, I want to go into art as a career?
It was a combo of both. I mean, back during that era, I graduated high school in 2006. Like action sports
It
and like
was off the chain.
of apparel was
Yeah.
like really big. I mean, it
Yep.
still is big. But it's just different nowadays, I guess.
Yes. Very much.
And so I was very interested in that. I was
Okay.
like, like I said, I grew up snowboarding was like the hobby.
Yeah.
Didn't ever do any competing in. That was like a hobby. My grandparents like lived at Crystal Mountain. prior to
Okay.
being born. You know, I kind of come from a ski family, even though I'm a snowboarder.
Yeah.
And so like I was like always in that scene and the motocross. So yeah, it was like a combo of both. I was like, you know, maybe I have potential to maybe try to go after playing in the MLS. But even then, it's like soccer players in the MLS weren't making that much money unless you were like
Right.
some crazy star phenomenon. Like, you know, it just was tough. And like anyone can be that person. And sometimes people are late bloomers, you know. I like guess that could have been me, but I
Yeah.
was a little burned out and I was kind of looking more into the future. Soccer was eventually going to end if I did pursue that. And I just like was always interested in clothing. Just like was always a dream of mine to like be a designer, you know. Back then was
Yeah.
like I want to be a graphic designer for cool clothing brand, you know, that sells
Right.
movies and stuff.
Yep.
So it was a
Do you
bit of both.
do you remember what the first piece of apparel that you saw where you were like, that is so cool. I want to be able to make that one day.
I cannot,
Okay.
you know.
Right on.
I mean, I would say, I mean, I could like spin that question a little bit. The brand I worked for 16 years, I bought one of their early on t-shirts at Zoomies.
Okay.
They were only in a select few Zoomies, and they're based out of Washington. Zoomies is based out of Washington.
Got you.
So I'm pretty sure that's kind of how they got into like some select stores to see how the brand would do. And
Yeah.
because I was into art and wanted to be kind of in like the apparel fashion space,
Yeah.
in that era of time was like surf skate, snow, like clothing brand. That was like what
For
big
sure.
clothing brands were. Like Quick
Yeah.
for a Billabong, like those brands are massive. They're still around, but it's not really a thing anymore. I'm like,
Exactly.
what is this brand? Because they kind of resembled that look,
Mm-hmm.
because that was the look then. And because I was interested in art, interested in like being in this industry, I went home and looked up the company's name, and I was a year out of high school, a year into college. I was just in college, and it was MySpace days.
Okay.
So I found their website and I'm like, this company is very small. They had like a few shirts and like two pairs of board shorts. And they had one model, this just one dude modeling all the stuff. And so then I went to their MySpace
Mm-hmm.
and remember MySpace, you had your top friends.
Yeah. Top 10.
Top 10 friends.
Yeah.
His name's EJ O'Donnell. We're still really good friends. He was their top number one friend, and he was the dude modeling on their website.
Okay.
I was just like putting things together. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's really small. I knew Zoomies was based out of Washington,
Yeah.
like probably not in all the doors. I want to, and then that's when I was like, this company's in Tacoma, Washington. Tacoma's 30 minutes from my hometown. I'm like, no fucking way. Like they looked like they were from Southern California and they were like some surf, like wakeboard brand.
Yeah.
And I was like, I pondered on it for a little bit and I was like, you know what, fuck it. And I messaged EJ. I didn't message the brand directly. I just like assumed he was like an owner or worked for him.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
just like, maybe it's because I like saw his face on their website. I felt more comfortable like putting a face to someone
Yeah.
versus like messaging the company direct because there's no face to the company. He was kind of the face and he didn't work for him. He was just friends with the guys. And that was like what people what's more common nowadays and what people do with influencers and like
Yeah.
how people grow their brands nowadays. I was like the OG of that, the MySpace days, and I just hey EJ, I've been into drawing and art my whole life. I'm pretty good in graphic design. I bought a Imperial Motion shirt at Zoomies, and I would love to work for him. I don't know what the message exactly said, but it was
Yeah,
something along those lines.
for sure.
He messaged me back, was like, dude, that's super rad. I don't work for the company. I just know the guys really well. He was helping a friend of his start up a sticker company,
Uh-huh.
active sticker company. It's diecutstickers.com.
Yeah.
I'm also really good friends with Daniel still to this day. And I met EJ off of MySpace at a restaurant on like the water in Tacoma, and we became friends. And like 6 months later, or like that following summer, which was like my 1 year after college,
Yeah.
EJ got asked to go down to IM's warehouse that they had just moved into. They had just got a investor because EJ was building this new sticker company. They asked EJ to come down to make stickers for him
Oh, cool.
and see their new building. And the building wasn't like fully finished yet. They were like
Yeah.
remodeling it. The investor had bought this building in Tacoma, and EJ was like, "Hey man, you can come with me. You're not going to get paid, but I can at least introduce you to Eric, who's one of the owners, and
Okay.
I can at least say that you're looking for a summer job and see what he says." And I showed up basically unannounced and introduced myself, and AJ was like, "Grant needs a summer job." And
Yeah.
Eric's like, "Do you know how to screen print t-shirts?" And I lied and said yes. And said, "All right, I'll see you Monday." And I
Yeah.
showed up Monday and like figured out how to print t-shirts. And
Nice.
the rest is really history from there.
A lot of times that's the most creative way to get into a position where you truly want to be is you just say you can do it in full on just confidence, ignorant confidence, really, because you really don't know how to do it. You just say you
Absolutely.
can, and then you figure it out.
Yeah. And it was like it was just like I don't know. I'm not like really religious. I mean, I believe in a God or a higher power, but it was like one of those moments that was like kind of looking back, it was kind of meant to be because
Yeah.
we're this really small brand, but they got an investor. Um, they got this like really cool building, and they were part of their business from day one. You know, it's three guys. They started it out of Eric's dad's garage, and the reason he was able to offer me a job is they would screen print clothing for like local businesses, and that's how they made money to start the brand.
Yeah.
And at that time they just landed a really big job because I don't know if you've seen the Narrows Bridge that's in Tacoma. The
No.
Narrows Bridge, it had collapsed like a long time ago, like
Okay.
in the 70s or something. It was rebuilt. The original is still there. The original one that was rebuilt is still there, but it gets so much traffic going from Tacoma to Gig Harbor that during that year they were building another bridge. So one
Okay.
which was multiple lanes going eastbound, another was westbound or whatever direction that is. And
Right.
there was a big like 5K or 10K run event that was happening, and they landed that job, and it was like tens of thousands of like people signed up for this run. And
Mm.
it was right when I got offered to, that's why I showed up to screen t-shirts, was before that event. And
Okay.
originally just a summer, it was like just really for that big event, you know. And printing, when you're screen printing 10, I think we did like 20,000 plus t-shirts, and like on a manual screen press, and like they
Yeah.
just they were still a small crew, and I was kind of the first kid in. There was one other employee, his name was Dustin. So like
Yeah.
when I showed up, I didn't fully have to like figure everything out. He kind of like was like, "This is how you pull a squeegee," and you know, like we set up the press and went to work on printing these, you know, the Narrows Bridge run event t-shirt.
Yeah.
And it was a crazy summer because they like projected, I don't know what the numbers were, but it was like originally they projected like we're going to have 5,000 people sign up or something like that. I don't know the exact number. I do know it was over 10, 15,000 at the end of it.
Wow.
A week, or probably wasn't a week. It was like 2 or 3 weeks up to the event. They're like, we've gotten 10,000 people to sign up. You guys need to print more shirts. And like when you're like this, like we were all kids, really. I was 19. The three founders were Spencer was like a year older than me. Eric and Steve were like 23 years old. There was this investor, but we were kids.
Yeah.
We're like, shit. Well, at that point, I was like already a month or so into like my job. I was comfortable with the small niche of guys. And Eric's like, we got to hire a bunch of high school kids. And like, it was like chaos. And like these shirts were like a 3-color front, 3-color back,
Oh, geez.
both sleeves. And so like the shirt had to be printed like
Multiple
or
times.
one sleeve multiple times, ran through the dryer. And
Yeah.
it's turned into like the biggest shit show. Like, because we
Oh,
were having kids that really, I had a little bit of experience. I took a class, I took one semester class in high school that part of the class was like teaching screen printing, and they
retrain.
had like
Yeah.
a little manual press, but
Yeah.
that course, or it was like a week long, like little like experiment. So
Yeah.
I was familiar with kind of how it worked, but not fully. And like
Right.
really, but if anyone out there that's familiar with screen printing, like ink, it's not paint. And like
Right.
has to cure under a belt dryer that needs to be over at least like 350 degrees. And we had like, because there was so much chaos, it was 3-color. We had like a loader. We had like the 3 guys on each, screen,
Out. Plating.
can pull
Yeah.
the screens. And then we had an offloader, and we were trying to do this manual press as quickly as we could. So we had a guy in each station.
Right.
You can run a job on your own solo, but you got to load the shirt and spin the spin wheel and like drop
Yeah.
the screen down. But we had ones, everyone stayed in their station. The kid offloading, we were running the manual press so fast that we were going faster than the belt dryer could move.
Oh, wow.
The person loading wasn't paying attention to the offloader and what was behind him, which was the belt dryer. And he was stacking wet ink, like he was stacking the shirts,
Oh, no.
covering partial of the print, which is still wet ink.
Oh, my gosh.
And the person that was like, I call it flat stacking or stacking at the end of the dryer. We had a person at that station.
Yeah.
It's also inexperienced. And like it didn't get caught for like hundreds of shirts.
Oh, my word.
And I just remember it being fucking chaos. Like, and somehow we got it done. But that was my intro to like basically showing like I'm here to stay. Like I was the one that raised my hand when they're like, we got to work till midnight. And I worked like month 2 of being with the company. I worked from like 8 a.m. till midnight for like 2 weeks straight.
Holy
And I
cow.
was like one of the few that was willing to like be like, I'll stay.
Yeah.
Now they paid me hourly and obviously got time and a half, I think, or at least like got paid for the hours I was working. I think that kind of like set an example of like, at least, I was like here to grind it out and help you guys grow this company.
For sure.
It was a small company.
For
But
sure.
screen printing is unique.
Yeah. Once you got into it and started doing more with them, at any point in time, because what I'm seeing from your life so far is there's this desire to excel within yourself. And it seems that there is no apprehension about moving in that direction of trying to excel, especially in soccer and then moving into motocross and then snowboarding and all that type of stuff. And then jumping right into a company saying you can silkscreen when really the only experience you had was partial art class. Was there at any point where you were like, oh man, this, I don't know if I can handle this pressure? Or have you always been good under pressure?
That's a great question. I would say I've been pretty good at being under pressure.
Okay.
I think that comes from my competitiveness in
Yeah.
sports. Kind of said that as I've gotten older. I think sports is the greatest thing for a kid.
Yes.
There's a lot of people that are successful and smart, go getters. My soon to be fiance is their wife, whatever you want to call her.
Yeah.
He's one of those people like didn't play sports and she's a hard worker and she operates in a similar way I do. But to me, very few people operate the way she does that didn't experience some form of like competitiveness
Right.
and the willing to, I think my work ethic and the willing to like put in the extra effort or figure it out on the fly.
Hmm.
I think a lot of that is to thank for my parents putting me into sports and then to top that off, a very competitive sport.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I think a lot of like the way I operate comes from those days when I was a kid because no one likes losing.
For
So
sure.
like if you continue in like I mean most all kids at least have some form of like experiencing some sports in their life, you know, like
Yeah.
on some team, and some decide not to continue that once they kind of hit high school, I would say is probably the like deal breaker.
Yeah.
But the ones that do, you know, everyone hates losing regardless if you're on like this red team or not. I mean, who doesn't like to win? Like, I mean, that's a pretty simple answer.
Yeah.
So I think like the more I was competitive in sports, I think that is like fallen over in my life in a positive. Yet, I mean, we can get into my sobriety, but it can also be a double edged sword. You
For
know,
sure.
I'm kind of like an extremist when it comes to really anything. Of like I don't
Yeah.
I just like to win, and
Yeah.
the older I get, it's like, well, how can I win at life or like do better?
Yeah. Well, I think too, that's uh, piggybacking on that in terms of the athletics. There's it's a different time now than it was when you were younger or even when I was younger, where you didn't get rewarded when you lost,
No.
right? So we had an understanding of it's one or the other. You either win or you lose.
Yeah.
And when you get, if you're competitive and you get with a group of guys who are not as competitive and you are losing and losing and losing, it's hard to stay in the mindset of I'm still going to compete hard, right? One of the things that was beneficial for me, I know, playing sports was the fact that because I did go to a smaller school for junior high and high school, was playing on the varsity team. So I was playing with the older guys as a middle schooler, right? And so that was just like pushing me to the point of, all right, if I'm going to succeed and play with them, I've got to be able to beat them at some point, whether it's a pickup game or whatever. And so that just fueled my desire to always want to observe how they were playing and then try to mimic it in a way to where I could figure out, all right, if they're doing this, this, and this, what is the way that I can make a different move that is going to allow me to score and then eventually beat them at whatever we were playing, whether it was pick up basketball or soccer or whatever. Especially playing goalie, I was always watching every player and figuring out how they were cutting, what was their moves that they were making, were they head faking in certain ways, were they body faking? I was always watching that. So whenever somebody got close to the box, I was already on them and had it lined up to where I knew what they were going to do. And I was always had my eye on the side behind me to make sure there was nobody coming up that was going to get passed to, that I was going to have to defend two players versus the one. I always tried to cut the angles to make sure that was not
Yeah,
something that was going to happen eventually.
absolutely.
And then, from when I asked you about the product, was there any specific garment that drew your attention to want to design clothes? For me, you may remember this, may not remember this, but when I was playing soccer, there was a magazine called International Sportswear, and you could buy cleats, you could buy jerseys, you could buy all
Yeah.
that stuff out of it, right? And when I first got that magazine, I couldn't afford to buy anything out of it. And I was like, but I know I could make that potentially. My mom sewed a little bit, my grandmother sewed, and I was like, I'm gonna go draw this up and see if I can get my mom to help me make it. So at 14, I'm looking at this magazine, drawing out this goalie shirt that I wanted because I couldn't afford the one in the magazine. And drew it up, showed it to my mom. She's like, all right, let's go to the store. Went to the fabric store, picked out the fabric that I wanted. I wanted it to be shiny because all of those goalie shirts back then were shiny. So I knew what kind of material I wanted. And so ended up, she helped me put together my first shirt at 14. That was the first garment that I ever designed, was my goalie shirt.
That reminds me, I have a very similar story.
Let's hear it.
Do you remember CCS?
Yes.
So I kind of did the same thing with CCS, the CCS magazines that were like, I got into like, that was the era. I got really into skateboarding for
Yeah.
middle school, even it like kind of
Yeah.
down it once I got to high school because I was like racing dirt bikes and just didn't really have time. So I was really into like the skate thing, and that's
Yeah.
why I worked for basically a skate brand for a long time. I mean, we evolved as we went, but
Yeah.
back then they didn't make no skate brands made kids clothes that fit younger kids. Youth
Mhm.
clothes, it was all adult size, and
Yeah.
even adult small was still at that time of my life, I was like sixth grader or seventh grader when I did this. I wasn't big enough to wear an adult small. I know
Yeah.
I clearly wasn't because I couldn't go to Zoomies and get it. And so,
Yeah.
World Industries,
Yep.
Lame Boy.
Yep.
My mom had a really good friend that owned. I'm sure there's these type of stores all over the world, but he owned one of those t-shirt places in the malls where
Okay. Yeah.
it was like a heat press. You
Yep.
went and can make your own t-shirt.
Yep.
So his name was Mick, and I actually worked for him when I was going to college. I worked at his place in the mall like years later.
Okay.
Um, but I couldn't get. I wanted a World Industries with the Flame Boy T-shirt, but I couldn't get one because they didn't make my size. Now they do. They make youth or
Yeah. Yeah.
And so Mick, we like pulled the image. I mean, this was like pre-Adobe. It was like copy paste and using paint.
Yep.
I like used paint, like made copied the Playboy image and somehow cropped it so it was just that, and then he printed it out on a transfer. And we printed them on white T-shirts. So I was
That's
like the
great.
OG kid in like middle school that was rocking like, or even like I think this was like elementary school. I was like the kid that would like came up. I was like the kid rocking the cool skate shoes and had like all the kids were like, "How'd you get that shirt?"
Right. Exactly.
Like you can't make that. And I couldn't say anything because Mick's like, this is a trademark. We shouldn't be doing this. But my mom knew him really well.
Yeah.
Ironically, I totally forgot about this. Yeah, when I went to college for that 1 year, I worked at that store.
Nice.
I became an employee, and that's when I was really on Adobe. That's like Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop
Yeah.
messing around because it was like we were busy, but like those type of stores are very ghetto. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
to come in that have their mixtape and you.
Yep.
I don't think those stores are around anymore. But
Not many.
the older guy I worked with, Mick would always get mad at us because he's like, they're not paying us for you guys to be designing. Well, like we didn't have anything else to do. And so like these students would come in, we'd be like, oh yeah, we'll design that. And we would like do it up for them. We were like making these cool shirts, even though it was like for them, it like felt
Yeah.
I felt a part of it. Like I was a
Yeah.
part of like putting that design together. And it was like the most
For
like
sure.
cheesy shit that I could think of back then. But that was kind of my intro to like making clothing.
Yeah.
I told like that just came to me as you told that story, which is very similar.
Very cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. After that, my next impression in terms of action sports was when I went off to college. I went to Pensacola in Florida. And at that point, every weekend was head to the beach. And once I stepped inside of a surf shop, I was like enthralled with
Yeah.
all the designs, all the graphics, everything.
It's kind of sad like that look isn't a thing anymore.
Yeah, I
I
know.
don't know if it ever will be.
You're right. I don't know either. The brands that set me off from the beginning was Stussy, back when he actually owned it, Massimo, Yaga, um, and there was one other one
You, you
way
know what?
back then.
I just finished a documentary on Von Dutch.
Oh, nice.
Have you seen that? It's on Hulu.
No, I haven't.
It's fucking interesting. Very interesting.
Is
It's 3 episodes, and I did not know the history of Von Dutch.
when did it come out?
Oh man,
Has it been a few years since it came out, or is
yeah,
it not a new
like
one?
that's a guy's name. He was like dead,
Yeah,
and like it was like it's two guys that like kind of originally started, and it came from like this like
it's the tattoo artist.
yes, and this other brand I can't remember the name, but even like the look and the logo came from this other brand that was like kind of this skate surf brand. And one of
Yeah,
the dudes was like this, it was a surfer, and they got totally like fucked over on the deal. Like
yeah,
investor like came in,
yeah.
it
Christian Audiger.
wild.
Christian Audiger came in and bought it out, and he's the one that blew it up. Um,
Yes.
and he's the one who screwed over the original guys.
Yeah. And they
Yeah,
goes the whole into that.
I did see that. Yep.
Those two guys are on the show. Yeah, it's like I think the documentary came out like a few years ago.
Yeah.
Saw it and I'm like, oh, that I gotta watch this because I don't know if you know, like the Von Dutch like hats, they're like becoming a trend again.
Again, yes.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
starting to pop up again, and I think it's like this nostalgia
Yeah.
like look. Like I think it's me personally, I think it's like kind of cool.
Yeah.
Back then, Von Dutch was kind of douchey. But
Right.
it quickly turned into a very douchey thing. And
Yeah.
like even talked about that. Like all these celebrities, it was like this hot thing and very it turned very fast to like
Right.
very douchey thing. And
Yep.
like Paris Hilton's like on the documentary and she's like,
Yeah.
yeah, one day I just like looked in my closet. I mean, I'm not a Paris Hilton fan, but she's just like, yeah, I'm over this and like got rid of all of it. Like
Yeah.
They like did this massive climb and just fell very fast.
Exactly. Yeah. Her, Carmen Electra, Dennis Rodman set
Yep.
it off.
Dennis Rodman.
Tyson Beckford,
Yep.
the model,
Yeah.
all those guys. Yeah.
Like that era of fashion is just so bad. Like the true religion jeans, and like I think those are even becoming a thing again. But I think it's like the way fashion is bringing it back is this like nostalgia thing, and fashion like it goes in like
yeah. It's cyclical.
yeah, it is. It's like the baggy pants and stuff is like very hot now. Skinny jeans is out.
Yeah.
Everyone says like, oh, that skinny jeans aren't going to be a thing anymore. And I would not want them to be. I definitely was the guy that wore skinny jeans, but I don't want those to come back. But I'm going to eat my own words, and they're going to be back in like a few years.
But it's like that whole scenario of like the stovepipe jeans that are kind of popular right now.
Yeah.
Janko brand was
Yeah,
they were the originators of those big
they
pipe
were.
leg jeans, which
Yeah.
again was a spin-off from the 70s bell bottom.
Yep.
They just extended the flare.
Yeah. So skinny jeans, they're gonna come back.
Yeah, at some
Like,
point.
yeah, it might like what you just said. It might be a different. I don't know what you could spin on those fucking things.
No, exactly. What
Wearing fucking
what
jeans tights as jeans or jeans as tights.
For sure. And the origin of the skinny jean goes back to the 70s or 60s
Yeah,
pencil leg pants,
yeah.
that real tight cut. So, I mean,
With fashion right now, we're kind of in an era of a mix of everything. I feel like
oh yeah.
skinny jeans aren't 100% out.
No.
We're not as skinny. I mean, there was that like
Yeah.
a period in like 2015, I want to say, where they were really skinny.
Yeah.
Now it's like a mixture. It's like it's just how you want to like be fashionable. Like
Yeah. Whatever your
yourself.
style is.
Yeah, be yourself. I think everything's like we're in an era where a lot of things are accepted. And it's
Yeah.
not like this really niche thing. Like the Abercrombie phase.
Yep.
I was that kid. That was my high school years, was the
Okay.
Abercrombie phase. Like, if you didn't wear Abercrombie, you were not fucking cool. Dude, you had to rock some fucking moose on double cut pop collars. It's not that I feel like it's that like where we're at now, which is kind of good. I like it. It's a mix of everything. You're not really, I don't know. I can't necessarily speak for the high school kids. I'm well over that age.
Yeah.
But like it's not how it was. I mean, you're a bit older than me, but even my age group, it was still very like this is like the hot thing. It was like very
Right.
singular lane.
Yep.
Where now it's a lot wider. Fitness is
Yeah.
the big thing,
Yep.
like a big fashionable thing now.
For sure. For sure. As you're moving into year 2, year 3, working for Imperial Motion, are you starting to move up the ladder in terms of what you're doing with them? Or how soon did that start taking place where you saw yourself being able to move into something that you really were more interested in?
I want to say it was like year 2, 3.
Okay.
It was pretty quickly. I mean, it might even been sooner than that, but if I was to take a guess, it was around. It was kind of when like I said, they early days it turned into manufacturing more cut and sew for other companies, but the early days it was a lot of just like matter blank suppliers.
Yeah.
I you still do it to this. We
Yeah.
we screen print in house. We landed like gigs. I think it's because we were in that age. We had the investor had a son that was my age.
Okay.
He went to college, but once he graduated, he like did running starts. So he graduated fairly early. He came and worked full time with us. His name's
Okay.
Ty. I don't know if it was him. I don't know how we got it, but we got some like college reps, is what we call them.
Gotcha.
That was my intro to finally like designing, because I like out of the gate, I was very, I expressed like, I want to be a graphic designer. I want to design for the brand. How do I get there? And that was their way of like, introing me. And it was kind of when we got these college reps, which was a lot of fun, to be honest with you. Like we had these reps that were like in store. We had boys and girls, sorority and fraternities. And I didn't go to a university, but I'm sure we're all familiar. They all do these
Yeah.
date dashes and like events and like ski trips.
Yeah.
And the two colleges that we had reps at, we ended up like expanding a little more, but we had UW, University of Washington, and Wazoo, which was Washington State University, which is in Pullman.
Okay.
And we had like a couple reps at each of those schools, and they would gather these orders, and they were like pretty good size orders for how, small we were, a few hundred shirts. But when you have a few and they're getting them from not just their own sorority and fraternity, but all these others,
Yeah.
and I think they made some commission as like our incentive.
Yeah.
That was my intro of like getting the experience of like not only designing, but almost like operations too.
Okay.
I was like the point of contact from,
Hmm.
from the reps. And so they'd come to me. And like, what's funny is a lot of the design work was like, they just wanted to rip something off.
Yeah.
It was at that time was a lot of fun. So they'd be like, we have this ski trip and it's called Schweitzer Alpha Gamma, whatever.
Yeah.
They're like, we want the shirts to be the Coors Light logo, but we want it needs to say this wording.
Yeah.
And like and so I would literally like re-vectorize and try to match the font,
Yeah.
Coors Light,
Yeah.
like all the little small font, and like change the mountain on Coors Light. I would change it to like that mountain that they're doing this ski trip at after it. And that was kind of they kind of like let me run with it. I was the point of contact. I'd do the design together and I'd get passed back and forth. Get it approved. I would then go and I got the login to ordering the blanks from our blank suppliers.
Okay.
This was also like there was a point where I think it was kind of like right before this happened. They weren't doing so well, and the brand, they had to lay off a bunch of people.
Okay.
I was the last one standing. So there was like a good like 6 months to a year where when this hit, it was really just me, and I
Oh,
was
wow.
like one man show. So like
Yeah.
they didn't really have any other choice but to be like, hey, like we got this. Here's your way of designing, but you're also going to have to print the shirts. And so I would get emails from these reps and I would do the designs. And then once it was approved, I put the tech packs together. Once it was
Yeah.
approved, I would print the film. We didn't have a dark room. It was in the corner of the warehouse. I'd go flip the lights off. I'd burn the screens.
Yeah.
And once the screens are dry, I would line them up. I'd mix the ink and I'd print the shirts. And that was like I had like my own little operation under the umbrella of this company.
Yeah, for sure.
And like I did that for like a good year. And like they started doing better, the brand started, they were focused on growing Imperial.
Yeah.
And like I kind of ran with that. And I would say, like, I mean, I'm grateful for them giving me that opportunity, because I mean, fast forward to what I do now, like that was like the beginning of them giving
Yeah.
more responsibilities through the 16 years I was with them. But that was my intro, and it was very early. I mean, they were also young, learning how to run a business as well. But I was also like fresh 21-year-old kid that
Just hungry.
knew Adobe just based on fucking around on it. I was self-taught. I took like 0 classes. I took like
Yeah.
a web design class in high school, and I think the 1 year in college, they had a graphic design class, but like there was no like teaching happening in those
Right.
classes, honestly. And that was the era where like LimeWire was still around, and
Yeah.
Adobe was like $1,000 for. It was very expensive. It wasn't like a monthly fee. How it is, it's still expensive nowadays, but
Right.
it's a monthly fee. It's like a membership.
Yep.
There's LimeWire, so I just downloaded it illegally at home, parents' computer, and I would just like go home from college, and even when I got my job, I'd go home and I would just design stuff for myself that never really went anywhere or did.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think even in the early days, I would go home and design stuff for IM, and I'd come to work and be like, "Hey guys, you like this?" I'm like, I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
had their vision, and I just was this kid, and I just like kind of kept showing up and doing what I could. But the sorority and fraternity things were a lot of fun. There was one job in particular I remember the most. It was, I don't know if have you heard of Rainier beer?
Yeah.
You have? So
Yep.
obviously it's Mount Rainier. It's a beer company that's based out of Seattle.
Yep.
It's very like, they have a very like vintage looking beer can, and it's still like the same cans from the old days. Well, they came
Yeah.
out with a Rainier ale. I don't know if it's still around. I don't drink anymore, but it was a black can versus their OG cans, like white, red with the red R and
Yep.
like gold cans. They came out with the Rainier Ale, and like it was a green R, and it was black, and it was a lot more intricate in the design, but it's still with very similar design. And
Yeah.
the fraternity jobs is like, we want to replicate this Rainier Ale can. And
Okay.
I freaking like knocked it out of the park, and like that can's like green, red, gold. It was like a six color. Well, to a one-man show that like
Yeah.
I designed it, like printed the film, like lined all the job up, and like I was like so proud in this because like
Yeah.
design just turned out premium. And they were on black crew necks, I remember, and I remember they just turned out so cool. And I was like,
Nice.
man, I did this like from start to finish. Like no one else fucking touched this job except for myself.
Yeah.
I was like the same way when like learning to burn screens. The owner Eric was the one of the three guys that owned IM. He kind of more acted like the boss, when they had like laid everyone off and it was really like just me. And I remember I knew how to print and I knew how to operate everything in the warehouse, but I'd never like experienced how to like burn the screens or whatnot. And this just
Mhm.
goes back to show like when I first showed up day one, like I didn't know how to screen print. And
Right.
Eric, this was a horrible teacher, or this is just kind of like how he taught, or he was just too busy to like spend time with me. But he like walked back, showed me how to code a screen and burn a screen in like 2 minutes. And I'm standing there like 20 years old, and I'm like, it's very intimidating.
Oh, for sure.
If anyone knows like the process of screen printing, like for someone to show you in like a 5 minute span, and
Yeah.
stand there, I was like, okay, I guess like I'm gonna have to just figure this fucking thing out.
Yep.
So
Exactly. Well, that's a huge teaching moment right there for anybody that's listening who may be wanting to go into fashion or design. Knowing all of the steps of the processes to get to a final product is pivotal.
it's
Like if
massive.
yeah, if you understand all of the steps to get to the final product, you're far ahead of most anybody who's coming out of college because usually they have a special that they're just
Yes.
focused on.
Oh yeah.
And
A lot
and
of
that
people
was
don't know the process of screen.
no, exactly.
They think it's like hitting enter on your keyboard and it comes out of the fucking paper printer. I'm like,
Exactly.
let me walk you through how one shirt gets printed. Do
Right.
you have 2 hours?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
especially the very like traditional old school way.
Yep.
print, like separating the artwork, printing
Yep.
the film,
Yep.
making sure the screens are coated with
Yep.
emulsion, and dry in the dark room, and then like lighting the film up, burning the screen. Let's just talk simple terms. It's just a two color.
Right.
Gotta burn two screens. I mean,
Yep.
just that up to that point is a good 30 minutes to an hour. I mean, I
Exactly.
put a little quicker than that because I know what I'm doing, but
Yeah.
like just your average person. And then you got to line it up. Then you got to get the shirts ready. Then you got to get the dryer going, and then you got to mix the ink.
For sure.
Like, let's just say it's a specialty ink. It's not like
Yep.
black and blue,
Exactly.
Pantone blue ink. Like, yeah,
Yep.
I always enjoyed later on in my career, like especially like when we built out the big facility and we were and I was like like basically the project manager of like these big brands. I got the opportunity to give like these accounts tours. I would say almost every single person was mind blown. And like,
Yeah.
when you do anything, you're like, screen printing. I think I value it a lot more now that I'm not around that anymore. I'm involved in it, but I don't,
Yeah. You're not doing it physically.
yeah, or I don't operate a print shop. So like I value like learning that. But I
Hmm.
definitely enjoyed like people are always blown away by the process of just screen printing a simple thing of a t-shirt that every human wears.
Yep.
That's like one piece of clothing that everyone owns.
Yeah. Exactly.
Is it like someone owns a printed t-shirt,
Yep.
someone has a printed shirt in their arsenal. I don't care who you are. As
Yeah.
simplistic things are nowadays. Someone's got like some fucking Old Navy shirt laying around. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. And two, even from my perspective, like that was one of the things that now allows me to monitor what's getting produced for a client, or even if it's something of my own that I'm creating, is when I first started out with my first clothing company, I was going to embroiderers and silk screeners, and I had no clue what had to be done, right? But fortunately for me, the owners of these companies saw what I was bringing to them in terms of a garment. And they're like, oh, wow, this kid is producing, he's not buying a blank, he's producing a cut and sew garment. And so them seeing that in me gave them the perspective of he's hungry, he's interested, he wants to know how to do this. So they would walk me through all the process of doing embroidery on my garments or silk stringing my garment. And me being able to watch that and learn it from the owners of the companies, that just allowed me to design that much more proficiently and better each time,
That's
was
cool.
because I understood from their perspective of what they needed to give me what I wanted as a finished product.
Yeah.
So I when I started working with embroiderers, there was no digitizing with the computer. It was with the plotter where you blew up the design, laid it out on a drafting table, and you had to plot every single stitch. So, and most people don't even understand what that is today,
No, no,
right?
they don't.
But those types of things are what allows you to do what you do at the level that you're doing. It allows me to do what I've done over the years. And then also, too, it has allowed me to be confident enough in my skill sets to pivot into different areas. Even when I started my jewelry company, I knew what I liked and what I had seen on the market, and I had an idea of what I wanted to create and knew I could draw it. And with just that knowledge, I was like, yeah, let me just jump into the jewelry industry. Fortunately, I had a business partner who had owned a couple of retail stores. So he had that experience behind him and he knew, okay, we can find a manufacturing company. So we shouldn't have a problem getting it produced. It's just a matter of you drawing it to the specs that we needed to. And I didn't know anything going into the jewelry industry. I didn't know you had to switch from inches and centimeters to millimeters when you're designing jewelry. So I had to figure that out real fast. Didn't know that, okay, you can only have certain thicknesses at certain millimeters. And if you go any lower than a certain millimeter, it's going to blow out the wall of the wax, or, going to be really thin with the metal and it's going to break. So you have to learn all of these processes, and being able to work with somebody or a company even that's producing your product. If they see that you understand the design process of it, they're more willing to allow you to learn how they produce it. And
Yeah,
fortunately, from my perspective, I've always had those opportunities. And I think that's huge for anybody that's starting out. If you can learn a little bit of everything in the process of producing something, you'll be farther ahead than most. And then
absolutely.
it'll allow you to have ample opportunity to venture out on your own, which you've done uh, more recently. At what point in the career working with Imperial Motion did you see that things were going to shift into either a higher position, or I may not be working here forever? Or did
I
that come
thought I
out?
would be there forever.
You thought you were going to be there forever. Okay.
Yeah,
Right on.
for a long time until things,
Till you did it.
yeah, and it went really fast towards the end.
Okay. So
Mm.
then let's go to the point of when you realized you were, again, moving up to another level within the company.
Like, what was the question? So,
At what point after this downsizing, and then you're
oh
kind of
yeah,
doing everything, right?
oh, gotcha.
Eventually it's got to build back up. So as it's building back up, at what point are you able to position yourself into a higher placement within the company to where you're able to do a little bit more, given more opportunity?
I was like, I didn't really take a step back, but I finally got put into a position of doing solely like all the graphic tees for the
Okay.
company. That was
Okay.
and that came from, they ended up getting invested in from a company that licensed, they, it was a company called Item House. They had licensed more outerwear, higher end brands,
Okay.
or in like the women's category that sold to retailers like Nordstrom. It
Yeah.
happened to be like a mile down the street in this giant, very awesome, cool looking brick building in Tacoma with like old, like it's like 100-year-old building with like these old
Okay.
elevators.
Yeah.
Pretty sick building. They're like, apparently like someone just recently bought it and they're remodeling it, but we got bought by them, so we moved into that building. They had a massive amount of space that they weren't using anymore. And so when we had made the move, for a period of time, we had already, we were already so busy. We were outsourcing even a lot of, obviously cut and sew was outsourced to our factories, China, Asia, Mexico, and all over.
Yeah.
Um, but even like a lot of our screen printing, we had got to a place where we were so busy we couldn't do it all under one roof. So we were outsourcing to a big print shop that was also local, that is solely like a contract printer. They work with T-Mobile, some big companies like that.
Okay.
So when we did that move, we just outsourced 100% to Pacific um,
Okay.
Sportswear, and for a period of time we didn't have a print shop anymore, and it was kind of the plan, like we'll just outsource everything. And so then I 100% went into like graphic design, was like designing a lot of the designs for IM, but also was still handling the other part of the business.
Okay.
He did, designs, and at that point we weren't really doing the college stuff anymore. Um, we hired another designer. He's still a really good friend of mine. He's great, just like amazing artist. He works for Tommy Bahama, which is
Okay.
located in Seattle. Good,
Really?
yeah. Their
Oh, wow. I didn't
headquarters,
know that.
yeah, their headquarters are in downtown Seattle.
Oh, wow.
Yep. So Jordan came on board. We hired a photographer, and they did this full build out in that building. We basically got like they built like a few big, really big offices that could hold multiple people.
Yeah.
One of the rooms was like the art room, and it was me, Jordan, Zach, and there's like a space for another desk. Zach was the photographer, and it was like just such a good time. Like me and Jordan did a lot of the designs for IM and any outside design work uh,
Okay.
that for other companies that we were bringing in. And then I was like, I kind of dabbled into like product development. We had like some companies we were manufacturing clothes for, and Spencer, who's one of the owners, he handled like all the cut and sew stuff. And we hired a very high end technical designer because we started doing snow outerwear. They licensed Ride outerwear. Uh,
Okay.
her name's Emily. Still really good friends with her. She works for Scott, is in the industry, and still she went to school for like to design like technical outerwear.
Yeah.
And I was like more on like the design side, but got very like involved. I was involved in like the hats and like little stuff. And then also like they would ask me for like, how do you feel about this? How does this fit? A lot of times, like I was kind of the fit model
Oh, gotcha.
when we were doing outerwear. I would get to go because I was like the one guy that liked snowboarding the most and was really
Right.
into it. I got to like go test the outerwear. I was kind of involved in like every little category. And
Yeah.
kind of because I was like the OG first employee
Yeah.
in a way. Like I modeled a lot of the stuff. Like when Zach needed to model, I was like modeling the clothes. And I'm like my face is in some of the old catalogs and stuff. It's
Yeah.
funny. Like when I say I wore every hat, like I
Did.
did. Yeah, like it's no joke. Like I kind of was like the guy like when they needed something, they asked for help. I'm grateful for them giving me the opportunity and trust in me, but a lot of that is like where I
Yeah.
what I've started is came from those opportunities really.
Yeah. When one of the things that, again, being put in that position where you're doing a little bit of everything, there's that pressure to have to burn the midnight oil, so to speak. And sometimes you've got to have little extra things to help you get through, whether it's a Red Bull or a Monster or any other things. Was there a certain point where you started dabbling to work harder, longer, and move in a direction that you were just able to function at a higher level because you were able to tap into some different substance?
Yeah. Can I gotta pause. I have to go to the bathroom.
Okay.
I hate to
So at what point did you start dabbling into extracurricular things to help you be more productive?
I would I wouldn't really say it to be extra productive, but
Okay.
it could be. I would say like I'm one of those people. I didn't drink until out of high school. Didn't do drugs, nothing. My parents actually gave me at the time it was a lot of money. They were like, well, I hadn't drank or done any drugs up until like it was like junior year, sophomore year, and my mom's like, if you keep this going, we'll give you $1,000 on top of your graduation gift for just not.
Okay.
So I actually didn't drink or like even smoke weed, nothing. Like didn't touch a single substance until like I got into college. And even when I got into college, I played soccer for that year. I
Okay.
really into partying. I wasn't drinking that much.
Right.
But you know what comes in it, this kind of goes back to that era, you know, like that era was like kind of that it was the 2000s of like that rock star era of the 2000s, you know, like
Yep.
that like surf skate scene, like that was like
Yep.
scene, you know. So like when I started at IM, it was like we were all young, you know, again, we were young dudes, and that's when like drinking became more of a like a thing. It
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
no one to blame, but we all just like had a good time, you know. And so like my drinking was like this. It was like this 10-year progression of just like I come from alcoholism on both sides of my family. Um,
Okay.
my mom's a functioning alcoholic, as much she wants to admit it or not. She is. My dad is as well. I don't, you know, I think he's kind of in denial too, but
Sure.
I I know that now. I kind of knew that then, and that was kind of the reason I didn't drink in high school is because like my dad, you know, I at least what I was told, that's why my parents got divorced.
Okay.
And so it runs, you know, I think alcoholism really does is like a hereditary or blood, like I think it really does run in families, or it's
Yeah.
just like a product. It's like goes back to like you're a product of your environment. Much as you don't think you see it. I had a great childhood. I played in I the soccer teams I played for were not cheap. Like
Yeah.
my parents weren't rich, but they were well off, and they
Yeah.
provided me with a very good childhood and gave me anything I wanted.
Right.
I can admit it. I was a spoiled kid. Like I want a new dirt bike. Usually got it at some point, you know. So my parents like made decent money, but
Yeah.
there was drinking that was happening that like when you're a kid, you don't in the moment don't recognize it. And that carries on later on in life, I believe. And so
Yeah.
career, it just was like this progression of like having a good time and partying. It led to cocaine use, like really later on in my career.
Okay.
That was like super, super late. But the drinking prior to that was like the drinking was it wasn't a problem until like mid 20s. I got a DUI when I was like 24.
Okay.
I rolled my truck. I mean, this goes back to I was a reckless kid. I mean, the way I operate and probably how like was with this company and like kept going up on the totem pole. You know, I do that in things that aren't beneficial in your life,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
regardless of what it is. Like if we're
Yeah.
drinking, I'm gonna be the most fucked up dude drinking tonight. You know, like it's just
Yeah.
it's how my brain operates, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Just like an all-in person. Said got a DUI and it like I didn't think it was a big deal, you know, like when it in reality should have been. It was like my third vehicle that I had wrecked, drinking and driving. I got very lucky and got away twice. Both times the cops came and everything and got away with the DUI.
Oh man.
And the second time I totaled that vehicle. I rolled it this way, like tumble, and
Yeah.
somehow skated by the cop driving me home and not even asking if I was drinking. When firemen knew the firefighters were like, "How drunk are you?"
Oh geez.
And then I rolled the next vehicle. I rolled it this way,
Yeah.
back over the top, got a DUI. And so it was just like, I don't know, I was just like reckless, like just not caring, like not thinking of anyone but myself, you know?
Right. Right.
I think like a lot of alcoholics are selfish. And then, you know, like I went through a divorce due to my drinking.
Okay.
You know, I made poor decisions when I was intoxicated, infidelity decisions. And that was like right before COVID hit. And
Oh man.
after that was like, I had a big ego. I didn't want, I knew deep down, like I knew like the alcoholism in my family. I knew it internally, but didn't want to. I had this big ego, like I got this badass job, like
Right.
I'd been with them for 15 years or whatever it was at that point.
Yeah.
Bought a house when I was 24. Like I had a big ego. I was like cocky and self-absorbed, like
Right. Right.
and COVID hit and the drinking just spiraled from there. I think COVID, like mental health standpoint, hurt a lot of people.
Oh, for sure.
It was like a perfect storm for me. It was a perfect storm in a bad way. It was like, got ex-wife, left me with, I know why she left now, like, but then like I'm like, you can't even say anything. Like I haven't spoke to her since the day she left.
Oh, wow.
Papers very quickly and like it's so it kind of like my life just like I wasn't willing to admit I'm the reason this is happening in my life.
Got you.
I wanted to point the finger and blame everyone else. And so the drinking progressively, that was like the beginning. It was bad before, if that makes sense, because that was the
Yeah.
reason it happened. But then it
Yeah.
progressively got worse. And then COVID hit. It That's when it really got bad. And then, yeah, the cocaine came into my life, which I've always said I'm grateful for that. Feel like it maybe I'd be sober, sitting here sober if it didn't come in my life now today, but I truly believe like that was kind of the pusher of like as bad as it sounds, I guess, or good. I don't really know how to describe it. And it just kind of like pushed me over the limit of realizing, okay, like this is a bigger problem than I'm willing to. And finally,
Yeah.
it almost pushed me to make me realize that this is a problem. Makes any sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it got at that point it was bad, and yeah, it like back to your question. That's when it was like I was doing that to operate. It was like doing it literally at work.
Got you. Okay. Yeah.
My office
Yep.
was like I remember the day like going and buying it. And I was obviously I would only when I got addicted to that, I remember it got to a point where all it took was 2 beers. That's
Okay.
all I could think about. And I was a beer drinker. Like I would take like shots,
Yeah.
tequila here and there, but I was like, I didn't really enjoy mixed drinks. It was just
Got it.
like picking a Bud Light and I'm happy with that. I was a light beer guy. And I remember it was lunch on a work day. And I'm like, I just had that also became a habit. We were like drinking at lunch
Okay. Yep.
daily,
Yeah.
literally daily, like 3 days out of the Monday through Friday work week.
Yep.
And, I got addicted to blow. I'm like driving to get it. I remember the day I just said to myself, like, this is a problem now. Like, I literally just had 2 beers at lunch.
Yeah.
I don't physically feel like I'm buzzed, but you clearly like anyone in their right, anyone gets buzzed off 2 drinks, regardless if your tolerance is high or not. There's still something in you, the system that's making you make decisions that you shouldn't be making. And some people can control those emotions better than others. I can't. I can. That's the reason I was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
That became a habit very quickly. Like just doing it during the day, all day, pulling all nighters on work days, random Tuesday night. And the point that woke me up was my current relationship. She ended up leaving. It was like deja vu kind of all over again. It was when I got divorced or separated before the divorce happened. She left on a Saturday.
Okay.
And Mallory, who I'm with currently, she called me on a Saturday and was like
Mm.
from her sisters and was like, I rented a U-Haul and I'm gonna be moving out tomorrow. I'm staying up here tonight, so I'll see you in the morning. I just wanted to let you know. That Saturday when she called me, I was on a 3-day Coke bender, high
Okay.
as fuck. Like, and I got off the call and I'm like, what the fuck do I do now? Like just crushed.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting there. What's crazy is I was at a buddy's house. I had like barely slept in the last 2 days. I like went to she like went up to her sister's specifically, I think for this reason, as much as she wants to admit it. Like I think she had a plan. Um,
Okay.
and I went to my buddy Jordan's house, a bunch of blow, and we're doing it. And I, for some reason, had to run home.
Okay.
And that's when she had called me when I like was home, and it was like 4 o'clock. And I remember like getting off the phone call, and I was like, like when you're in those moments, I was just like, the world was just caving in on.
Yeah.
And I knew like deep down, I'm like, I know what the problem is here. And the problem is what I'm currently under the influence on.
Okay.
And I, as crazy as it sounds, I made the decision that I am going to get sober in that moment of being probably an 8 ball deep and like, I don't know, an 18 rack of beer.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm gonna finish what I have left tonight. This is like my last go out. Was that night. I ended up not going back over to the buddy's house I was with, and I called a good friend of mine that I felt very comfortable, like, I guess, talking to about what was going on and the
Okay.
decision I was making in the moment of like,
Yeah.
I need to get sober, dude.
Okay.
Like, I think a lot of people have this like moment of time of like people that do get sober. I think a lot of people face this when they are intoxicated.
Yeah.
Sometimes, or it's like when they're like hungover, they're waking up from like a very bad night.
Yeah.
Mine's like in the moment of like, this is my last night. I'm finishing what I got. I'm gonna finish this case of beer. And I actually ended up drinking that Sunday, just trying to lean. I leaned myself off of alcohol
Okay.
like a rehab center would do, I think. Like
Yeah.
literally, like I was like, I just did cocaine for the last 3 days straight. I don't have any left. And I was like this close to like buying more.
Okay.
Valerie came home. She's like, obviously, like, is still in that state. I like thought I could talk her into staying. I'll
Yeah.
get sober, like the whole fucking shebang. I had done it a million times. She's like, no, the U-Haul. My sister is like in the U-Haul on her way right now. And
Mm.
like, as much as I'd love to help you, I cannot be here. And so I
Okay.
actually had like left with no plan. And I called another friend that I grew up with that lived in Seattle. I'm very fortunate. I have like a handful of friends that still drink, but I at that time comfortable calling and were supportive in my early sobriety.
Okay.
That just were like my boys. Like, like everyone's got those friends that
Right.
everyone has those few friends that like if you're stuck in a ditch,
Yeah.
like you blow your tire out on your car on like this abandoned highway, like that buddy is gonna wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and figure out a way to come fucking help you. Like I have like
Yeah.
a handful of those type of friends. Called
Okay.
Vincent, I'm like, some shit's going down. I'll tell you when I get up there. Then I bought a 6 pack of beer, and I was like, I didn't even finish it, but I was just like, I need something. But I had already made the decision, like I'm not drinking anymore. I'm getting sober, and that was September 25th. That's my sobriety day. It was the last day I drank was my sobriety day. Some people the first day they're sober. And yeah, I went to Monday. I went to work the next day, which was Monday. Mallory was moved out. I didn't go home that night
Okay.
because I like I bounced between like the few friends that like I grew up with. Like the buddy I called Saturday night was a
Yeah.
different friend than Sunday. Sunday was Justin. I went up, we watched the Seahawks game.
Okay.
And my best friend Ricky and Jimmy were like the two that were closest to Mallory. She actually had called them and said, Grant
Uh,
needs some support. I'm moving out that Sunday morning. So
wow.
Ricky had already known what was happening, and he has season tickets to the Seahawks game. And so
Okay.
he texts me like, "Hey, what are you doing today? How are you doing?" And I said, "I'm going up to Justin's. I'm going to be back down after the game. I don't know what I'm going to do." Ricky's like, "Meet me at my house. I'll be on the heat. Where we live, you take like the Sounder train to go to the Hawks games."
Okay.
So he took the train back, and I couldn't go home. I couldn't face the music that Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember I had my last beer. I had like one beer at Ricky's, and I ended up passing on his couch because I had barely slept up to that point in the last few days.
Right. Yep.
And I fell asleep on his couch at like 7 o'clock, and I woke up like Monday morning at like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. And I remember just being like, fuck, I have to go home. I can't just go to work right now. I have to go home. I need a shower. I think I like needed my laptop. And I was just like, this is gonna suck.
Yeah.
I have to like embrace the suck right now. Like
For sure.
there's no way around it. If I don't get sober, like my life is going to just get worse. I just kind of like saw my life at that point in my life. I saw everything was just gonna cave in by that single greatest, like it's the greatest thing that has ever happened to me. And like I always say, like me making the decision to get sober is like the best thing that's ever happened. The
Yeah.
greatest gift that I could have been given was like for me to recognize that, to make that decision.
Right. Two things that I've seen are hugely important that took place for you. One is the fact that your girlfriend had called your buddies and said, "Hey, I'm making this decision because he's too much and he's going to need some support because I can't be that support." That's huge. Somebody that's willing to reach out to the people that you know and say, "Look, I need some space. I need my own help. I can take care of myself, but he's the one who's gonna need somebody to help him through this." That's a huge thing, and I don't know if you have ever thanked her for that, but I'm sure that you do recognize and appreciate the fact that she took the initiative to say, "I can't put up with this." And but also too, I care for him enough to say, "Hey, guys, you gotta help him. I can't."
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
huge thing.
They were big support. Ricky and Jimmy they're like my two best friends.
Yeah,
They're like brothers. Me and Ricky have known each other since like sixth grade.
m'kay.
Jimmy, I met later on in life, like in my early 20s, but just connected. Um, but like outpouring support, like I was in I mean, anyone I think is like, I was in a very dark place. Like I didn't sleep in my own bed for that first like 30 days of sobriety. And ironically, it's kind of messed up thinking back, but I just like, I felt more comfortable being at my parents'.
Okay.
My mom drank like almost
Yeah,
every
yeah.
and I don't know. I had like my stepdad at the time. He was very supportive, but yeah, like I had this routine, and I would like go to work, and well, day like 2 or 3, I got back into the gym. So I was like, I would swing by my house because my house is on from my where I worked. My house was on the way to my parents. My parents lived 10 minutes, but just 10 minutes further. You
Yeah.
have to drive by my house to get to my parents
Okay.
where I was working. Um,
Yeah.
So I was like, I drive, swing into my house. And like when I say my house was empty, it was just like when you start taking pictures off the wall. I still have like a couch and a bed and a TV and
Yeah.
like all my kitchen stuff, but like you start taking shit away, like what Valerie did, your house feels empty. But I would literally beeline, I would pack my gym bag. I would probably like change into something comfier and
Yeah.
then literally jump in my truck and drive to my parents. And like my mom would make me dinner. It was like I was in high school again. I'd
Yeah.
wake up that first like 30 days, I'd wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, go to the gym, and then I'd go back home because my gym's right by my house.
Yeah.
I was that was my way of like slowly getting back home was I after the gym before I went to the office, I'd go home, eat breakfast, shower. But I was
Okay.
like in and out. Like there was
Yeah.
no I was like tunnel vision of like kitchen, breakfast, shower, out the door. Like really weird. Like I couldn't it was really hard for me to like
Address the emptiness.
address the emptiness. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I get it. I totally get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, another blessing for you is the fact that even though you understand what your parents deal with and they're still in that mindset of drinking, being able to step into that environment because it was a safe space growing up, even though you saw these things taking place. But as you mentioned, you had a fairly good childhood,
Yeah.
um, regardless of that, right? So you still are internally are seeing that as a safe spot for you, even though there may be some temptation because you're seeing them do it, right? But you realize that's a safe space for you to be able to think and figure out what you want to do next. And then also too, taking that initiative to step back into the gym, that athlete in you that is realizing I need some movement, I need some body movement, I need to activate and sweat some of this stuff out and to give me the natural reactions of what
Yeah.
substance would do, right?
Yeah. And back to just the way I operate my extremist before.
Yeah.
I went from I mean, I had a background of like, I was very dedicated to the gym. Like that was like for a handful of years before COVID hit and
Uh-huh.
my divorce ordeal. So
Yeah.
I was in really good shape. But I mean, COVID was like 2 years. And then
Right.
add like a year and a half on top of that of like my cocaine like addiction. You can get out of shape very fast. So I was like kind of starting from ground zero,
Okay.
but I at least had that in me. And
Yeah.
but I went from literally like 0 to 100 and was trained so hard, went from beer gut to a six pack in like 90 days. I was lifting twice a day for the first 60 days. Um, pretty much like 6 days a week. Fucked my shoulder up.
Okay.
Had to go to a chiropractor. Like was just like, hey, it was crazy. Like that's just how I operate. I like that's just who I am, and I've kind of accepted the fact that's how I am when it comes
Yeah,
to anything, which can work against you, but it can work in your favor if you dedicate it to the right things in your life.
for sure. For sure. During that 90-day period, did you step into any AA meetings or was the gym kind of your AA?
I did a it took me like a couple weeks. That
Okay.
was another thing I was very fortunate about was I had like these like few group of guys like the two Mallory called and but I also had a handful of guys in my life that were close friends and just newer friends that were
Okay.
sober. Like
Okay. Gotcha.
2 out of 3 of them had went to rehab.
Okay.
One of them lives in Texas. I grew up with. he grew up with me and Ricky.
Yeah.
And one of them I worked in the same building with, and I had ran into his name's Jeremy day one, or it's technically day two, since like some people count their sobriety date as like the last day they drank. So it was day one
Right.
of like me waking up truthfully, like 100% sober. It was like
Gotcha.
what it was Monday going to work, and I ran into Jeremy, and me and Jeremy were like not really friends. We just like worked together, I guess. And because I had made the decision, I was so willing to, for the first time in my life, that I think it, especially for men, it takes a lot for us to like ask for help. But
For
I,
sure.
in desperation, like I saw Jeremy, I knew he had like, I think at the time he had like a year
Okay.
of sobriety. And I was like, and I knew he was bad, like went to rehab. I mean, we're all bad. I hate to make it come out like that way.
Yeah.
Um, but I knew he went to rehab and he had done AA, and I was like, hey man, do you have a minute? And he was like, yeah, absolutely. What's up? And I was like, can we like step over here? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, I need help. And I like, for the first time in my life, was just like, I need to get sober. Kind of the way I worded it was like, Mallory left. I have a mortgage to pay for. I can't lose this job.
Yeah.
I need an income. I'm not in a position to go to rehab. I don't think my parents, they would support it, but I don't think I would. I just don't think my house would be paid for it, et cetera, et cetera. Like it wasn't
Yeah.
really an
Yeah.
excuse. I was just like, I don't think I need that. I think I can do this on my own, but I need something. And he was the one that suggested AA. And it
Okay.
took me a minute to like walk my ass in the rooms, because I would essentially kind of walked myself. I had then reached out to another friend that had recently gotten sober. That was another guy that was like like a new friend that I had just befriended in like the last few years.
Yeah.
Didn't really hang out with him, other than it was like a bunch of people getting together. If that makes
Yeah.
sense. Like I
Yeah.
knew someone he knew, but we
Yep.
never hung out like just me and him. So like,
Right.
and I reached out to him, and he was going to AA, and he's like, just check AA out. And so yeah, I like went to a meeting. I was just willing for any help. And so like first meeting, they do the serenity prayer, and they, at the end of every meeting, they're like, anyone in this room that is a sponsor, please raise your hand. And it was actually my second meeting, and I went with Jeremy, who I had worked with. He introduced me to Tom, and
Okay.
Tom's who I sublease this office from, and we kind of
Gotcha.
side business together. And
Okay.
Tom and Jeremy were really good friends. They got sober like on the same day, the same night. They were
Oh,
together,
wow.
like high and drunk, and they're like, we need to
Yeah.
get sober. Jeremy went to rehab, and Tom kind of got sober the same way I did. And I saw
Okay.
that he raised his hand to be a
Yeah.
sponsor. And so I told Jeremy, like, hey, like, can you connect me to Tom? Like, I want to get a sponsor. Like, I want to check this out. Like,
Yeah.
I fucking need help. I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to try, like at least try it out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did the steps to the best of my ability. I read not the full big book, but I read most of it.
Okay.
I don't know if you're familiar with the big book, but it's
I'm not.
the Alcoholics Anonymous. It's like the Bible, and
Okay.
it's a blue book. They talk about God and spirituality and like your higher power.
Okay.
I still keep AA in my life because it was there for me. I
Right.
started to go. I made it like that was something that was a thing for me for I would say the first year and a half of my sobriety. I was going the first year for sure. I was going to at least one meeting a week. I was
Okay.
someone that went to a meeting every day,
Gotcha.
but like Mallory was gone. I didn't talk or see her for the first like 3, 4 months. So if I wasn't training, I was like reading the big book with Tom or like going to a meeting with him.
Yeah.
And then it just like, because it was there, I think it's beneficial for anyone that are going to listen to this. If you need to get sober, I mean, I think my biggest advice is doing something active, getting in a gym, running. But I think AA is beneficial to try it out and to have an open mind to it because I mean, I can admit it is kind of depressing. It
Yeah.
is hard to let go, but it forces you to do things that you are uncomfortable doing. They
Yeah.
force you to talk. And there's a reason behind all that. You know, you're the center of attention when you're intoxicated.
Yeah.
You're sober, like you're like, especially in those rooms, you don't want to talk to anyone. And like that's the whole point behind that. You know,
Yeah.
forcing you to do hard things in uncomfortable situations when you're not under the influence of a substance to mask that a feeling of anxiety or
Yeah.
shyness or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing I got out of it, as well as like finding some form of a higher power. Um, mine's just kind of the person I'm living today. You know,
Okay.
uh, my higher power is the greater version of myself. I mean, I do believe in God, but I haven't fully opened up myself to that. I've gone to church and I can say I'm a Christian and have some
Okay.
form of faith, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's like a lot of like what I dove in for. I guess AA was a big stepping stone or like learning experience. I actually
Yeah.
went to a meeting this last Saturday. It have been a like month or maybe even longer. There's one meeting that I mainly went to, um,
Okay.
and it's like that's like the only meeting I really will go to. There's like a couple others. But
Right.
that meeting, obviously, like everyone knows me. So like when I show up, they're like, "Where have you been?" You know,
Right.
everyone kind of knows me by now, where they're not like too worried, you know. But you do build. That's what it is. You build a community of people, and those they all care. They are there for if you do have a hard time. It's like
Yeah.
you can lean on those people to call and be like, "I'm gonna drink over this" or whatever.
For sure. When you got the information that you were about to be let go from your job, was that during this process of getting sober or was it prior to it? Where did that line up in the storyline?
I was 7 months sober.
Okay. And so from that perspective, you're losing the thing that you've been good at and been familiar with for 16 years solid. You're 7 months sober, and now that drops out from under you. What does that do to your headspace in that moment in time?
It was a mixed feeling. It was a mixture of emotion.
Yeah.
I definitely cried. I'm an emotional guy. I can shed some tears,
Okay.
happy and sad tears. You know, it was
Right,
kind
right.
of a mixture of both those. I was ready for that chapter to be closed, and I was like starting to think of an exit plan. I
Yeah.
wasn't sure. I mean, I can't fully say I was, but it was like, it was there.
Okay.
Maybe that was just like early sobriety clarity. Like,
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know. So it's like a sigh of relief, but also like, what the fuck do I do now?
Yeah.
I am 60 grand in debt. I, me and Mallory were back together at that point, but she hadn't moved back home. So I was still floating all the bills.
Okay.
I have a mortgage. I have a truck payment. I have a massive amount of credit card debt. That was the debt I was in. I was buying drugs with a credit card through
No.
vegetable with how I put myself in credit card debt.
Yeah.
Uh, and I was like, that was like what do I do? But also, I don't know. I was just like, I knew that maybe this was just a subconscious like feeling of like, I just like was like, I'll figure it out. I
Yeah.
have figured it out my
Yes.
entire fucking life. Like
Yep.
from day one, I figured out how to screen print. I mean, like you go back to the history of my career and like,
Exactly.
so I think those little steps and like, I think this is the first time of me like kind of recognizing that.
Okay.
I didn't really know that in the moment. I think subconsciously I was just like, I was really because I was kind of ready to like move on. It was
Yeah.
like the end of an era. And I
Yeah.
wasn't worried about drinking. I was
Okay.
like, I was so done. I knew that wasn't the solution. That was only going to make things worse.
Yeah.
I very quickly in early sobriety figured out that like me drinking over something happy, sad, tragic thing of losing your job, of being with someone for 16 years
Yeah.
is not going to make your situation. It's
Right.
only going to make it worse.
Yeah.
And I like I took a summer break for the first time in my life since I was in school.
Okay.
And I was like figured it out, like thinking back of like I didn't say this to myself like, oh, I'm gonna figure it out. Like I just was like subconsciously was like I knew like I'd figure out the finances. And that's
Yeah.
kind of what I did. I started picking up side design work again. Um,
Okay.
I started doing custom hats for random companies. I brought my connections to the factories that I had worked with,
Yeah.
hit them up with on my personal email, was like, would you still work with me? And they don't give a shit.
Right.
They're like, absolutely, it's more business for us. And I'm like, okay, like I looked at my bills and I was like, the most stressful part about it was how slow unemployment happens. And I think like
Mm.
I was at least fortunate enough for my parents to like loan me some money.
Okay.
But like unemployment I got back pay for like a month. I filed unemployment
Okay.
day. I got laid off like 2 in the afternoon. I had finished filing unemployment by like 6 o'clock that night, but I didn't get my first unemployment check for like a month and a half.
Oh,
And
wow.
I mean, that feels like a long time for someone that one isn't working. You have
Yep.
nothing to do. You
Yep.
wake up and you're like, what am I gonna fucking do today?
Right.
Like I kind of miss like that summer coming in. Like it was like a sense of freedom.
Yeah.
It was stressful and I had all this debt, but like thinking back, I'm like, I did whatever the fuck I wanted. And then when I got that back pay, it was like 7 grand.
Okay.
It was because like I made 6 figures. So I got like the max unemployment that anyone can make. At least in
Uh-huh.
our state, like when you hit a certain threshold of your salary, you
Right.
max out at like 1,000 a week. So I got
Oh,
4 grand a month. And I'm like, and you find that out like when you file unemployment, or I think I had called because I didn't know anything about unemployment.
okay.
And I think whoever I called was like, you're gonna get the max amount. How much do you make? They're like, okay, you're gonna have 4 grand a month. And I remember like after I filed, I was like, I didn't know it was gonna take that long for back pay.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, 4 grand barely covers everything. And that was before like food was my stuff. And I'm like, fuck. Like, how am I gonna do this? And I think I had like, I mean, you kind of have to do what you got to do. I like think I had a credit card with like 10 grand. And I'm like, if I have to use this, I have to use this. I'm already in debt.
Yeah.
Right now, I can pay all my minimum payments, my mortgage, my truck. I can pay my bills. I can also pay this payment. I basically just like used the system I had to kind of float credit
Yeah. Yeah.
and float debt. And that's like, I survived. And then because like instantly I couldn't just like call someone up and be like, you need design work. Like
Right.
I don't think I got my first like money coming in, side money that was like under the table
Yeah.
until like I finally got my unemployment, which was back pay. It was like a
Yeah.
math because I remember it was close to 2 months because
Okay.
it was like 1,000 a week, so the
Yep.
grand a month. And I remember I got like $7,000 check. I just
Right.
felt fucking rich like instantly because I'm like, I mean, I had to like my parents helped me out a little bit. Like, they were like, "All right, we'll pay your mortgage this month." Blah blah
Yeah.
blah. Like that was really all the help I got,
Mhm.
and just yeah, I kind of now I'm like I'm like talking about it out loud. I kind of miss it was a sense of freedom like I didn't get for a long time because I worked my ass off for the
Yeah.
company.
Yeah.
I worked harder. Like I don't care if any of them listen to this or any of the employees listen to this. I worked harder than any employee in that company.
Yeah.
I can confidently and yeah, this might sound very egotistical, but I confidently think I worked harder than anyone that was in that building. And so like
Right.
after 16 years, it was like, fuck, dude, I got a summer break. I'm gonna
Yeah.
3 days a week. And like I mean, it's as stupid as it fucking sounds. I was like using my credit card to golf. But I was like,
Yeah.
what else am I gonna do? I'll
Well,
figure it out.
no, exactly. That's the thing. You were figuring it out just like you figured out everything else throughout your entire life,
Yeah.
figured out how to do the things you wanted to do. Now you're in a spot where you're forced to have to do that again out of necessity, and you just step right into it. You know what I'm saying? And two, when you work that much and put your heart and soul into a creative venture of that type of a company, when that pressure valve is released, it's like huge.
It is huge.
Yeah.
It's the mixture of the feelings, like I was crying because it was like, man, this was a good run.
Yeah.
It's like, it's kind of, I don't know. I mean, I think it's kind of like professional athletes when they retire. I think you hear them talk like it's almost like that pressure valve, but it
Yeah.
also is like this emotional feeling of, oh shit, like
Yeah.
what am I gonna do now? Like
Yep.
what's next for me?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like it's a sad and depressing state, but
Yep.
also happy. And I think what got me by for those 6 months of being unemployed was I just had had fun.
Okay.
I got that's when I would say I got really good at golf. And what's crazy to say is like it's like one of the most expensive sports you can do. And it's a sport you can easily drink and do. Where
Right.
I have a lot of friends that are into golf, and I was already really like into golf, but like prior to that, it was like a reason to go out and drink.
Yeah.
And I got laid off right before summer. And, I was just like, I think it was just the best sport because golf is so challenging, but because of the challenge, it becomes very addictive. And I have an addictive personality and I like to win and
Yep.
I like to get better at things and I like a fucking challenge. And I think that probably was my biggest outlet. On
Yeah.
top of, I was able to work out, not have to go straight to the office. So I could like work out a little longer. And even when I started picking up these side jobs, it was like all through my unemployment, it was like I would just work like once a week.
Yeah.
Get back, I'm like, I could have probably grinded a little harder, but I think I needed that time of like decompressing
Yeah.
to then start my business.
And when you started the business, what was the idea behind what you were about to step into? Did you have one, or was it just I'm just gonna start a creative agency, start doing
Um,
different things, or I've got a purpose and I want to step into it with this purpose?
it was it was dumping all my learnings into one bucket, and also having the not like knowing how hard it is. Like I still will pursue trying to have my own brand if it's small, or hopefully, I start something that turns into something big and a good form of income.
Yeah.
I'll always pursue that, I think, because
Yeah.
like that's my big dream. I know how hard that is to generate money versus,
Yeah.
especially versus someone in my position, my knowledge in the industry, my experience, my networking, my factory connections.
Yep.
It's a little easier to provide my services to other established businesses, generate money quicker.
Yep.
It I was in a position that needed that because I was in debt, and I kind of like didn't have a choice. I couldn't find a job. I was almost it was right out of the gates. It was like, I'm going to start my own thing, but that's scary to anyone. And it was
For
instantly,
sure.
I'm going to start my own like agency, basically like doing custom apparel. And like, at first I was like, I'm going to do everything because like I kind of have to offer everything I can do,
Right.
generate as much money possible quickly so I can pay my bills and start attacking my debt.
Yep.
So I was like, I kind of know how to do web design. I'll offer that. So I kind of was like, in my agency still kind of, I'm working on redoing the website. So I'm niching it down to like, I offer logo, brand identity. Like that's kind of like a more outlet,
Okay.
fun part of my business. I enjoy doing people's either rebranding their business, their logo, or doing a startup and like being the guy that like creates their Nike swoosh, like
Right.
I really enjoy logo design. So that's kind of like more of the fun part, but more I'm falling into more like I do custom apparel. That's the world come from. I'm not a
Yeah.
designer.
Yeah.
I know how to do websites because I'm so talented with Adobe, and I'm so self-taught that it's like it makes it that much easier to like self teach yourself Shopify
Yes.
and Squarespace.
Yep.
Like Squarespace is very user friendly, but you combo that with someone that has an artistic eye and has the knowledge in Adobe that could like make a Squarespace website look pretty damn fucking good. So like
Yeah.
early on, I was like, I do everything. Well, do
Yeah.
graphics for billboards, t-shirts, you name it. Oh, you need a website? I'll do that too.
Right.
So like
For sure.
year one, it was everything. I was grabbing anything that was being thrown at me, and I started with nothing. I
Okay.
started with 60 grand in debt. I filed an LLC. My unemployment ran out, and I was like, here we go.
Mm.
And I did a quarter million in my first year.
Nice.
Like,
Nice.
but still about half of that, I had like expenses and I was
Mm.
doing apparel, but I did pretty well. And like, I didn't even realize that I had done that until year one was over with because I was so like
Just focus.
focused on like, how do I grow this business?
Yeah.
How do I get as many clients and as I can? How do I pay my bills? How do I like pay my debt? And even I can admit year one, I didn't pay my mortgage because Mallory, she was self-employed and she like left a day job, and so she wasn't making that much money. And then like at the end of the day, it's like it's my house, like I didn't expect her to pay the mortgage, so she was
Yeah.
helping out as much as she could.
Yeah.
But there's still like when you say 60 grand in debt, majority of credit cards,
Yep.
it's a lot of money a month.
Yeah. Wait.
Even the minimum payments. So like I
Yep.
didn't pay my mortgage on time like the whole first year in business. I
Okay.
just made sure I paid it before the 30 day. I didn't pass 30 days. and I was like in survival mode. So I didn't realize like in reality, I was making this, I was making almost more money than I had ever made before.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I was so like in like, okay, how do I grow this? How do I evolve it into what I really want to do, which is focus merchandise,
Yeah.
like develop. I would say like I am I'm finally like to that stage going into year 3, which is this year. Even
Okay.
last year, year 2, I still was kind of like doing everything. I mean, I bought a camera solely be I had never owned a camera. I had never even really like touched a camera. I
Okay.
I know post photography because I
Gotcha.
was asked to do post photography for IM, one of the hats I wore with them.
For
And
sure.
but I bought like I hit a buddy up and I'm like, what is like a decent camera that's cheap? And he like sent me a Canon. And he's like, get this one. This will do everything. And my initial thought was like, because I was already doing I during unemployment, I had already started the custom headwear thing for
Yeah.
companies. So I already had clients for that. And I was like,
Okay.
I'm going to build an Instagram and I'm going to showcase the product,
Yeah.
taking photos of it. And I'm going to get a
Yeah.
cheap backdrop and put it in my garage. And I ended up getting an office. So I had it there. So I subleased an office, but I was like, I don't have money to pay a photographer. So I learned photography and I ended up getting like hit up by 2 people to shoot product photos for like these big brands.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I remember one of them, like I was on the Zoom call with the founder and I was like, I'm just gonna be transparent with you. I literally bought a camera 6 months ago and I have
Yeah.
no clue what I'm doing. And he's
Yeah.
like, that's impressive. He's like, so like all the photos on your like Instagram, like you've done all that, like your website, like the stuff you did, everything you see, I have
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
one's touched a single thing but me up to that point.
Yeah.
So
And
it's kind of comical.
it's only comical from the perspective of when you are looking at it as an outsider and you're seeing it and you're like, wait a second, it's a one-man show, one-man operation? And I'll tell you this, one of the reasons, there's 2 reasons that I reached out to you to begin with. One of those reasons was your photography. When I saw your photography on your socials and on your site, I was like, "Oh, this is some high level shit. Like this is top notch." And I could tell it. And I've worked with plenty of photographers over the year. I was like, "This kid's on point for sure." And then I saw your product and I'm like, "Okay, he's got a thing. I need to and then, part of your story is on your website. I'm like, this would be a perfect fit for the podcast. Let me see if he's open
So
to it.
because like even the photography thing, like I up till like 4 months ago,
Yeah.
I'll back. Are we going too long? I know we're
No, no,
like
no.
hour 3 here. I mean, I
No,
could.
no, no. We're good, bro.
Okay.
As long as you're good, we're good.
Yeah, I'm good. Because I'm also under another group that I'm like now employed with, which
Yeah.
I had mentioned on the
Yep,
last
yep.
call. But, with his company, I was I was just a subcontractor at first for Kenna Group, and Aaron, this was my first year in business. He became like an instant, like he had a lot of work for me, so instantly I made him a priority. And he works with big enterprises, and that's how I work with like Starbucks and Yahoo. It's through Kenna Group. Very grateful for Aaron. He's amazing person. He's became a really good friend.
Yeah.
But we had like he had like just landed kind of Yahoo, and I kind of was involved. I'm very grateful to be a part of like seeing that growth. And I remember Aaron being like, you've been doing really good with the photos, and like Yahoo we offer, because they also build like their internal stores
Okay.
for their merch. Like
Yeah.
company doesn't just do the merch; they also have a tech side which Chandler handles. It was
Okay.
Aaron and Chandler, and they're like, Aaron's like, "Would you can make more money?" Because still at that time he was paying me my business. I wasn't like now I get a salary and I'm an employee, even though I still operate my business on the side.
Got you. Yeah.
He's like, "Would you want to do the photo shoot for Yahoo?" And it was like, it was in a studio, and he's like, "Well, we're gonna get models. It's like you can make the extra money. It's just extra money in your pocket if you want to do it." And I was like, "Sure, why not?" And he's like, I'll buy it. What equipment do you have?" And I had just like still lights, like cheap Amazon lights. So he's like, "All in this, like I'll give you like $2,500. Go up to Glazers in Seattle and have them help you," because I still didn't know what the fuck I was looking for. I like
Sure.
like flash setup and stuff.
Yeah.
And I bought like all quality stuff, Godox lights, 2 lights. Did this Yahoo shoot again. We hired professional models, and like we ended up going to dinner after. And I think Chandler brought it up because I try to tend to like act humble and like not. I have times of sounding very cocky, but like in moments like that, like that's where my shyness comes out, which translates
Yeah.
to humbleness, which I guess is a good thing.
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, Grant's never done this before." And both of the models were like, "What?" And I was like, I hadn't even used this flash setup until today. And
Right.
we're like, "What the fuck?" Like I learned it on the spot. Well,
Yeah.
the kicker is this was the end of 24.
Mm-hmm.
It was in November. This is my first year in business. And so
Yeah.
all of last year, 25, was when I moved into this office, and finally I have like a decent sized studio, which is to the right of me. Uh,
Yeah.
I was still terrified. I still didn't really like know how to use the like flash setup and shit.
Yeah.
So the photos you saw on like United, and majority of the photos up until like literally like 3 months ago, was still
Yeah.
I was still using the cheap ass Amazon like still lights. And then I have a good buddy that's like, he's good with the camera. He's getting better at having an artistic eye, but he doesn't really have that in him. I mean, I think everyone can learn as long as
Yeah.
it just takes repetition. And
Yeah.
that's supportive of him. It's Jimmy. It's one of my best friends. I was there for my,
Yeah. Yeah.
I actually paid him because I got like very busy and super busy. I'm like, "Dude, I need help." And I was like, I was like shooting product for people and stuff. I was like, "That's something I can hire Jimmy for." And he's an electrician. He's unemployed. It's like, "I'll pay you under the table." And so one of the days he came in, literally like 3, 4 months ago, I was like, "Today I'm going to pay you. But today, all I want you to do is fucking get that flashlighting set up and working. And then at like 3 o'clock or whenever you got it dialed, I want you to walk me through it."
Okay.
Oh, I actually get the like that light. Now I got it all figured out. But
Nice.
Grant, like, thankful to Jimmy for kind of like helping me. Obviously like I did it on the spot during that Yahoo shoot. But it's like, I don't know if you know much about photography. I'm assuming you do.
I
Maybe a little.
know enough to get by.
Yeah, it's very intimidating. But that's
Absolutely.
where like a lot of the photos, and like this is like the people I did open up to, and like what I mean, I would say everyone I was transparent with, like, "Hey, I just want you to know, like, I literally picked up a camera like 6 months ago or a year ago."
Yeah.
Like, wow, like, how are you so good? And I'd say the reason I was able to make things look good very quickly is I'm really good at Photoshop.
Yeah.
It may take longer to have all this post photography work done, but that's
Yeah.
essentially the reason I am really good. I'm good in Lightroom. I'm good in
For sure.
Photoshop. And that's kind of, and I have an artistic eye. I've been in design. So like I knew how to get like the right angles. I knew how to figure out without using flashlighting. Cause once you figure that out, it's way more simple than it seems or looks.
Yeah.
It's not as complicated, I would say, as people make it seem it is. And like YouTube, I've always had a hard time watching YouTube videos and learning through my whole career. Like a lot of
Yeah.
like, and people even told me, like, why don't you just like I think Aaron mentioned, like, why don't you just watch some YouTube videos? And for some reason,
Doesn't translate for you.
no, I'm better hands on, I guess.
Yes.
And like I think that's why like when Jimmy came by that day, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna pay you just to figure this out. Or I'll have you shoot. I worked with Stridaline socks. They're a big sock brand. They're based in
Okay.
Seattle. And they hired me to shoot the photos of their socks for their social and email campaigns.
Nice.
They were one of the accounts that I know. One of my good friends worked for them for like 10 plus years. They were looking for someone. Bart's like, dude, you're good at this. I'm gonna
Yeah.
recruit you. And
Yeah.
so I had talked to the two founders, and they were the ones that I was like, hey, like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I just want you to know this. And they're just like,
Right.
wow, this is crazy. But okay, we'll pay you this. And I was like, yeah, it was when I needed a lot of time. But
Well, and that's the thing too for the audience listening. You do not have to have the top-notch product and accessories and equipment to make things happen. You can use Amazon and get the cheaper lights and get the cheaper setup. You have to spend more time in post, but you don't have to have the big dollar stuff to make things happen. And I think that's a key component of your storyline is that you figured shit out and you're creative enough to make it look like it is top notch and high quality, looking like it's been done by a professional that has a budget of 100,000 plus to do on everything, right?
yeah,
And that's the beauty of being a creative and having that instinct to just want to figure things out, right?
yeah, absolutely.
Not everybody has that.
No.
And I know from my own perspective, I have that. And when I see that in somebody else, it's like, oh, all right, different level here, different level. Cause not everybody's willing to figure shit out to make things happen.
Mm.
Either will not do it because they don't have that instinct to figure it out, or they will try it and get stuck after the first few attempts when it doesn't look correct the first time.
Yeah, fear is your biggest enemy.
Yeah.
I think that goes back to, I mean, it goes deeper to just like my childhood of like sports,
Yep.
career,
Yep.
but I think it really like I almost like shot myself with steroids when I chose to get sober because that's like the most scariest thing to like admit, you know, not only admit, but it's like very difficult for someone that's addicted to some form of substance.
Yeah.
It's a form of just fear in a sense of like scared you can do it,
Yeah.
scared of judgment.
Yep.
And so like I think like I don't know, the last like close to 3.5 years since I got sober, that was kind of it just is like I'm not super spiritual, but it was almost just like that was God's plan of just like, you know, like this is like what I'm planning, what I'm getting you ready for, you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like
Exactly.
I think a lot of hurdles that I've gone through just in the last 2 years of business of having that fear,
Yep.
it's came from obviously all like the career and childhood, but like a lot of it, I would say, like, because it's the closest in memory is
Yep.
like the sobriety aspect of like,
Yeah.
again, like I think I did the hardest thing that anyone really do that isn't addicted to something so deeply and in such like such a deep hole in their
Yep.
life. But it also, like, for me, it's like it's a constant double-edged sword. Because I'm that way and I'm an extremist, or however you want to, like, I guess, label me, I
Yeah.
continue to, like, and I'm doing better at, like, sitting and reflecting lately, because I tend to just continue moving the goalposts, which can work in your favor, but it can also be very bad in a way. I think it can be very bad on your mental state, depression, and, like, just, like,
Yeah.
constantly, like, feeling like you're not doing enough. The last 6 months, I just kind of, like, had a conversation with someone. The last 6 months have really been the hardest one.
Okay.
Wild about the last 6 months is, like, the last 6 months has been the most, like, growth, and, like, the most
Right.
debt has been paid off. And I bought my dream truck. I always wanted a Ford Raptor, and
Okay.
I finally was in a position to buy a Ford Raptor, and my company's doing well, and I'm employed with Kenna Group, and I'm working with amazing people. And Aaron gave me this amazing opportunity to not only be, like, pay me a salary, but give me the freedom to still, like, operate and continue pursuing my dream of owning my own thing.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people get that opportunity. I mean, obviously his business, everyone works remote, so he
Yeah.
already instantly has trust in people.
Okay.
But, like, for him to be, and I was very open, like, hey, like, I want to do this, and I want to help you grow, because, like, you're awesome, and I want to be working around like my people and go-getters, surround
Yeah.
myself with people better than me that are very successful. But I also want, like, I also want to be transparent in a sense, like, I want to continue my own thing, and as long as, like, that's okay, like, and, he was like, yeah, absolutely, like, you help me, I help you, and, like, we share factory connections, and, like, we actually, like, one of our main factories is that is used through Keta Group is from my resources.
Okay.
And it's
Cool.
one of the main ones that we do a lot of product with.
Nice.
So it's like, I helped him, like, connect him. I'm, like, the main point of contact, because my title with group is head of technical product design. Um,
Okay.
and so I handle, almost all the product goes through me with his business. And right now I'm still, like, the main point of contact. And this is where, like, the long days come, because, a lot of our factories in China,
Yeah.
they're now starting work, So, like,
Exactly.
luckily, like, I've worked with the factories long enough now that, like, they know how I operate. They know, like, okay, we have from, like, 5 p.m. my time till 9 p.m. Grant's gonna, like, respond and be awake. And, like, I'm very routine. I go to bed at 9 o'clock, but then they know my ass wakes up at, like, on average, very consistently, I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and
Okay.
I have, like, an hour of, like, now I try to read and, write my grateful list and have my cup of coffee. And that's my time to respond to the factories if they hit me up in the time I've been sleeping.
Yeah.
I'm at the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning. Don't miss. Like, it's, like, part of my life now.
Well, that routine is also, I would assume, helps you with your sobriety as well.
It does, absolutely.
Yeah. And I think that's a key component for many people who struggle with sobriety is having a routine, having things blocked off and knowing, okay, I've got to do this, I've got to do this next. And I've got this at this time in the afternoon, I've got this time in the evening, I've got to do this. When you don't have a form of structure in place, then it leaves the mind open to start talking to you about, hey, remember when we did this? We went out and we got that cocaine and
Yeah.
what that did for us. Like, yeah, I got nothing going on right now. Let's go get some.
Yeah,
That's when the mind starts talking, right?
it does. Yeah. Yeah. Like, lifting, and got into running last year. That's part of my routine. That definitely keeps me grounded and disciplined. disciplined. And that's
Yeah.
why my biggest advice for anyone that's struggling with addiction is like the gym is like the happiest place. Like you meet the happiest people
Yeah.
in any town. The happiest people are in the rooms of gyms. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
No one goes to the gym angry. I mean, I went depressed and like I guess angry if you want to say, but like you come out happy. Like you
Yeah.
get those healthy endorphins. It's just like the best positive thing. And like and then like incorporating running. I mean, I know running is like a trend now,
Yeah. Yeah.
social media. And I didn't necessarily hop on the big wagon of the trend. I mean, I guess it influenced me, but I
Yeah.
come from a world of a lot of running. I come from soccer.
Exactly.
So I just kind of, I got very just like, I was just like, I don't want to be this muscle head. Like, I want to be just all around, just like athlete in a sense of
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
functional, strong, and just healthy. Like I want to live a long life. I want to be able to run with my kids. I want to be that dad that's in real good shape. And that's just like that's part of my life now on top of like I want to be successful in business, but I also I want to be that 6-year-old, 60-year-old man that people look at and they're like, holy shit, like what did you do? You know, like
Right.
how are you in so good, like such good shape? It's like, yeah, I worked out and kept care of my body and I
Yeah.
quit fucking putting substances in it, you
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
that's,
Exactly.
but
Exactly.
that's a part of an addiction though. That's my addiction now.
Yeah. But it's the healthier side of
Yes,
the
exactly.
addicted personality.
I just
Like,
recently got into cycling too. So that's
okay.
like my hobby now. Like
Got you.
literally just bought a bike like 2 ago. And I went on my first ride on Tuesday and did a
Mm.
40 miler.
Jeez.
38. Yeah. It was gnarly. I have a buddy that just recently got into it and he's a big runner and he's like one of the guys I run with.
Okay.
We got to like the 20-mile mark and he's like he was turning 38. He turned 38 on Wednesday. It's like I
Okay.
turn 38 tomorrow. I want to do 38 miles. Are you down with that? And I'm like, fuck it, let's do it. Let's do it. Oh, like that's just how I operate. I'm like, oh fuck it. If I die on the way back, I die on the way back. Like you only
Right.
live once, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that bad? Cycling is very good. It's now I'm like and that's what's funny. Going back to just like when I do something, I'm all in.
Yeah.
Like I already got the bibs, I got the clip ins. Like I looked like I was I first day out cycling. I looked like I was I had fucking been doing this for 10 years. Like
Right.
I was like full fucking decked out. Like that's just how I roll. Like everybody was like laughing at me. He's like, "You got to be kidding me." I'm like, what do you think? I'm gonna show up with just pants on? No, fuck that. I had like the full fucking race bibs and shit.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Let's talk a little bit about United Headwear, why you started it, why you created it, and what you're doing now with the pivot of it.
I started it as a creative outlet of like that was kind of my I had started like a little brand thing when I first got sober that didn't
Hmm.
really go anywhere. It was called Relentless Training Club. It was
Okay.
like a training club that I was like gonna kind of try to start. And that was just like my early sobriety. So it was kind of influenced a little bit by that of just like I want to have my own brand or just like have something that I can pour my creativity into. And I've been very successful making custom headwear for all different types of companies. It's an easy piece to sell. It's one SKU. And so that's kind of, it was influenced by that. And then I was like, there's kind of a hole in the market. Now there's no brands that have like cool sobriety on them.
Yeah.
So I was originally United by Sobriety. I trademarked the name and I sold like, I don't know, 50 hats like pretty quickly. I did 200, I did 100 hats to start. And then after I sold the 50, I did another 100. So, and sales like were just like trickling in like here and there. You know, I
Okay.
think first 50 were like people wanting to support. And like there's like this big rush to start. Like,
Yeah.
oh, maybe I have something here, you know. My business also was getting busier and busier. And so like my bandwidth is maxed, you know, like
Yeah.
there's only so many hours in the day. And like I was like learning meta ads and like that shit's fucking confusing too in itself. And I'm like, I don't have a bunch of time to pour into this. So I was using it as just like a creative outlet. And I was doing like, I planned a couple of photo shoots, had a couple of photographers, and I was like, I don't have money to pay model. I could be the
Yeah.
model, you know, and I'm the face of it. Started trying to tell my story through it. It kind of just like, I started recognizing like, not everyone that is sober wants, you know, sobriety across their forehead. I was like, you know,
Right.
it's a cool idea. And well, I got outpouring like love of it and people like, oh, this is really cool. And like you admitted, you know, people saw the social, just the,
Yeah. Yeah.
these brands survive off social media and people came across and like, I mean, I had several people like DM the account and they're like, who owns this? And I'm like, this guy. And
Yeah.
they're like, wait, just you? Like, you know, like one guy was like, it looked like there's like investors were involved and like you like had full like photo shoots done. I'm like, no, everything you see, I've done. It goes back to just my business. They're like, oh, like this is badass. And I'm like, yeah, well, no fucking hats are selling. You know, like at that point, I'm like, nothing's selling. Like I'm getting like an order a week.
Yeah.
And you know, Shopify is like 200. Like I'm still like bleeding money on this thing. I'm like, I have like
Okay.
custom boxes. Like I made it like this thing, and I like kind of brought my sponsor into it. Like helped him. He helped with a little bit of money for the first hats and like the first like marketing
First
push.
run. Yeah.
Um, he helped on the financial side a little bit, and he's sober. And I just like wanted to like have him be a part of it. He has me part of like this project in the medical industry that he's in that we're still working on, innovating a product that's really never been done. It's like crazy, you know, it's been a crazy experience. It's been like the 2.5 year process, but
Sure.
that could be a big moneymaker.
Okay.
But then I was like, I'm gonna rebrand it to United Headwear. Well, I ended up hiring a like basically a social media like personal branding coach to because like brand like now like especially right now people buy into like the founder's story.
Yes.
I was like, I still am not comfortable in front of a camera. A lot of my content is not a lot of me talking. I'm trying to get past that fear. That
Yeah.
is actually a fear I have. Like it's
Yeah.
very like awkward. I have no problem like talking on a Zoom call that is essentially a podcast. For some reason, I just like can't talk in front of a camera. I don't know.
I get it.
I hired this coach and he's in the industry. He's been a model for some top brands, ASRB. He's a model for them. They kind of like built their brand around him. He's like fully tatted. Well, we ended up becoming friends while he like coached.
Okay.
I told him like I'm hiring you because I want this United brand to do well. Like that's I was like, it's not really. He's like, well, you need to focus on your personal account, and that's why I post more on my personal page now. And he kind of was like, I think you should rebrand because I was like, I was already like, I'm gonna rebrand it to United Headwear and just still keep it Headwear, even though I
Yeah.
have the capabilities of doing more than just custom hats.
Yeah.
And now he just was like, we ended like our coaching weeks
Time frame.
time frame, and he was we continued talking. He's like, hey man, like how would you feel about basically like phasing that out and like essentially kind of closing it down? The hat that I'm actually currently wearing, I had just gone into production with. He's like, how do you feel about, I was gonna like label the slogan as, he's gonna keep the UBS. And I'm
Okay.
like, how do I change sobriety to something else? And I came up with the phrase united by standard,
Yeah.
living at your highest standards. Listen,
Okay.
like, and there's like a story behind that. It's like, what if we like pulled that portion from it? Like me and you did something together. And he kind of has a name. And so we're now in the process of like essentially starting something together that this is going to evolve into. And the way I see it is like, that is like 100% like 50-50 split. We're kind of
Okay.
into it. He makes really good money. He does like personal branding and he's a creative director and like directing like shoots and like brands and stuff. And he has like the same vision, but he's
Yeah.
really good at like content and he has a following and he has networking in the industry and he lives in the fucking capital of fashion and he like knows the industry. And I was like, I mean, what do I got to lose? Like, I have to stop the bleeding at some point because
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
it's like I'm still bleeding money, especially now. Like I stopped for months now, like posting anything, and that really is the only way I was getting orders.
Okay.
And kind of just in this pause state. And me and him have been working on the back end of like launching something together. And
Yeah.
that's what these hats are going to be the kind of the first launch because they're already done. They've been sitting for like a month. And so
Yeah.
like all this content and build up and we kind of like he started a run club and that's kind of like the beginning of like building this culture and trying to build this like story behind it
Yeah.
and like spinning why I'm involved, kind of the story that I've been talking about
Yeah.
you and stuff. And so yeah, that's kind of like I can't really say much more. I mean, there's really not much more to say. We're kind of at a place where we're just like building the scenes of like how we're gonna launch this thing. But the plan is like in the next couple of months.
No, that's plenty enough to say. It's not a scenario that I
Yeah.
was looking for extras. It was just a scenario of tying into your story that you've always dove into something with purpose and you've never been afraid to pivot as well.
Yeah.
And that's huge for a creative is having that fearlessness to dive in, figure it out, and if it doesn't work, pivot and move. And I think that a lot of times creatives get stuck and they get into a depressed state and they get paralyzed from that depressed state and they can't navigate their way further.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that I picked up on what little of your story is out there already.
Mhm.
I could see that. And also too from, our initial conversation about doing this together, I saw it even more so. And I was like, okay, I wanna dive deeper. I want to be able to draw this out and let people see what you are all about. And that's that component for me of having the purpose of wanting to have these long form conversations. Because a lot of times as creatives, we don't want to get in front of the camera. We want to be behind the camera
Yeah. I
doing
know.
everything, right?
Yeah. It's been
But
for sure.
but when we have a story, the story that you have, the story that I have, the necessary component at a certain point is you've got to start telling the story. Because when that takes place, then people are going to start wanting to connect. They're going to want to connect from shared experience. They're
Mhm.
going to want to connect from an interest in what you're doing. They want to connect because they see something in you that's similar to what they've experienced. You know what I'm saying? Like we didn't even talk about me playing soccer when we first talked.
No.
But today it comes out, right? And it becomes another portion of the conversation where it's like, oh, I can relate to that. I know what that's like. I know what that experience is all about. And that's the beauty of it for me is being able to allow others to see that the struggle as a creative is real, but you can get through it. And a lot of the adversity that individuals face as creatives can be overcome and get to a place of healing, a place of sobriety, a place where there's light coming in that dark side of being the artist.
Yeah.
And for me, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I'm not afraid to speak up and say, look, I know what it's like to be in a fucking state of depression where you don't want anything else except for everything to just stop and end. And because I know that so intrinsically, I want other people to know I know what that feels like. I can talk to you about that. I can give you some tips of things that I've done to be able to get past that, get through that, get to a place where you're starting to see that glimmer of light again. And, that's the whole purpose of it. And it's not always about addiction, but that plays into it. Because as many creatives have over the course of years, we know the stories where they fall into addiction and, you know, their life doesn't continue on. It grabs them up and takes them out.
It does.
And there's some of the greatest musicians, artists, designers that there ever was, but they're
Yeah.
not with us anymore.
Actors, actresses,
Yeah, exactly.
like
Exactly.
Charlie Sheen, like,
Right. No, for sure.
or what's his name that passed away, I can't, I'm drawing a blank. There's a ton. There's
Yeah.
in it, like actors and actresses, it's a form of art, I would say,
Oh,
acting.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It what's weird I feel like addiction does kind of run in this like form of like industry.
Creativity. Yeah.
It really does. Because I think creativity is like kind of a form of an addiction, like
Yeah.
drawing, or like wanting, like needing to finish something and like continuing to like do the next thing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it definitely is. I don't know. It's been a journey for sure.
Definitely. Definitely. I want to point out a couple of things here for you, just to give you a little bit of perspective on what I've seen throughout your storyline. Those accidents that you had when you were driving and you were able to walk away from, you didn't get arrested. You didn't go to jail for those. You didn't walk away with injuries. You didn't die. Those are those God winks. You may not have realized them in those moments, but those are the things that help to frame your story as little nudges earlier on, trying to get you to realize, hey, tapping you on the shoulder,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. I think I have several of those.
Yeah, yeah. And then, injuries that you've had that, weren't debilitating, but all the while they're injuries. You had to work through them. You had to come back from them. Those are, things that make you step back and say, okay, maybe I need to not go so hard the next time up on a hill with all kinds of powder, right?
Yeah.
All those types of things.
No, I mean that those have also all been like learning experiences. And I
Yeah.
think where like when I say like the last 6 months have been tough for me, I think it's been a combo of like I went so hard for the first year and a half starting my business, and like you can't it frustrates me because I think this is another thing, like social media glamorizes,
Oh, for
and
sure.
and it's like so bad. And like a lot of the people that speak on this, like I enjoy like listening to them, like it's successful
Yeah.
influencer type people, but like there's a fine line of like no one can operate. Cleaners are here.
Yeah, yeah,
There's no one that can operate 100% that for like ever, if that makes.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And I think I was doing that. And I think that's the way I'm built. And so
Yeah,
it got to a point where I'm just like, I'm still trying to figure out like how do I like manage this working like
yeah, yeah,
and I guess, but
yeah.
I burn myself out because I fully hit burnout. Like I hit a point where it was bad and I still am like in it
Okay.
and to get out a little bit, I think
Yeah,
it is a fine line, like the way any successful entrepreneur. I mean, like if you want to go and be super successful, like you have to put in the extra hours, no matter who you are.
yeah, for sure.
But there is like, it is kind of glamorized. Like they make it like a lot of people like make it seem like these influencers. They make it seem like that they're fucking they're a robot 24/7. And it's like no, and not any human being can like do that for years and years and years. I mean, there's a certain point where you like you can still do it, but you have to figure out a way to like manage it a little better. And I hadn't figured out. I like still don't think I have it figured out how to manage it properly.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Most definitely. Most definitely does. But, you know, you're the type of guy who is willing to try and figure it out.
Yeah.
And that makes the difference. That
Yes.
definitely makes a difference. Grant, I want to thank you, man, for being willing to open up and share your story with the creative community. It's a tremendous story. It's powerful. I think people will connect with it. And keep doing what you're doing, man. Stay on
I,
that sobriety road,
yeah.
because it's going to allow you to do things a lot smoother, a lot faster, and a lot more integral for your own internal personnel. So,
Absolutely. I'm super grateful for you reaching out and thank you for having me, a part of this and letting me tell my story and
for sure, for sure. One of the things I always like to do at the end of one of these episodes is just remind the audience, and I think this is indicative of your story as well, and that is to always listen to your heart, but also in the same breath, be kind to your mind.
I love that.